Good viewer, you are watching Xirtus. This is because Xirtus makes you feel good, makes you feel fulfilled. You are enjoying this. You will continue to watch Xirtus for a long time to come. You want to subscribe to Xirtus, and you will. You will like and subscribe and share. You will tell your friends. Tell your friends about Xirtus. Your friends will come to like Xirtus, much as you are liking this right now, as we speak. Thank you for subscribing to Xirtus. See, that was easy.
In the quiet of my room, I close my eyes and I start to pray. I'm searching for a sign, for something to guide my way. Through the chaos and the noise, I'm yearning for clarity, hoping for synchronicity to show me what's meant to be. Oh, Synctank, hear my plea. Bring me a sign of synchronicity. In this podcast that speaks of the divine, set the universe, show me a sign of Synctank. I'm listening, guide me to the answers I've been missing. In this world of cosmic mystery, Synctank, bring synchronicity. I'm searching for a sign, for something to guide my way.
Well, that was very, very punk rock. I mean, welcome to Synctank. It's like South Park, you know, like with AI, you can just take things to the most extreme conclusion. Oh, his glitching is happening. See, it'll happen. He'll be back.
You just evoked emotion out of me with that, man. It's AI, and it got me. It got to me.
Yeah, that'll show you. Yeah. But we'll work on the intro. I got the video. I gotta get the video better. But you get where it's going. You know what's happening. Like that's how quick you can just be like, we're gonna make this thing happen. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I saw like a bunch of people are upset about AI, and I said, I'm sorry that I didn't commission an artist to paint 97 pictures of the Pope Benedict dressed as a samurai. You know.
Right. Yeah. No, I know. That's, you know what, you got to help out the artist community, and when you just, scamp on them like that, it's a shame. But you got to do what you got to do. You got to get the thing produced. I mean, how much would that cost you? My God.
Oh my God, bands and how much crack for like the LA studio just generally to keep it running. I mean, have you ever seen that? Just restoring the tapes, but there's more. Obviously, that was Paranoid American. Here's one he used.
I just said,
sorry.
Write me an R&B song about 9/11.
And that's what it gave you. It gives you the whole thing all at once. It's not two separate things. It just gives it to you.
Oh, is that all you did? You didn't even... Nice.
Well, the only thing I had to do was I took the lyrics after it repeated it, and then I plugged that into ChatGPT, and I said, write me another verse for this. And that's literally all I did.
Yeah, you can skip some steps if you have different AIs plugged in together. That's where we're going pretty fast. It's pretty great.
But like I even found out how at the very end, if you just repeat the one line from the chorus like 3 or 4 times, and then put something in parentheses at the very end, it'll do like a natural end and everything. Like so, it's. Like there's a little bit of crafting, but man, it's
here's the first one that I was able to generate using this technology that Paranoid American shared with me.
Secrets in plain sight, they're changing the rules, they're pulling the strings. I'm feeling so lost, surrounded by their schemes. But in the chaos, I found a guiding light. Andreas, show me the truth.
No, I'm a narcissist.
Lead the way to a brighter view. In the face of fear, we'll stand strong and fight. Exodus, we'll find a light. Together we'll rise, no need to hide. And Andreas, we'll come fight. I'll follow you into the light. I got an MK ultrasound and I found visions of something that strangely reminds me of a synchronicity from before. I'm guided by the unseen hand.
I like it. It's pretty based.
Just wait till you start getting copyright flags pop up on.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll get sued by Vanilla Ice. He'll be like, oh, man.
Vanilla Ice will be down. We're like, no, I get it. That's fair.
That'd be great. I wonder if that ever happened. Did Vanilla Ice or Vanilla Ice's label try and ever, like, if somebody tried to take something from Ice Ice Baby, you know, like,
Oh, I'm
I think
sure.
just Suge
consumer
Knight.
moves by hand?
Suge Knight was the main one to try to take things from him.
Okay.
And I'm gonna fix my microphone. Can you guys still hear me now that I've? Okay, cool. I got really that echo was driving me crazy because I just hear too many things at once. Like So how's your week been? You've been learning about, and also Adam Baum sending a super chat. Thank you. Shout out to Paranoid American. Have had some wild reactions to his t-shirts. Haha, it's been funny as hell.
We got some more on the way.
That's good. Yeah. So what have you been up to this week? What have you been working on? Thomas first, because
me. Dude, I actually hit the ground this week and went to a bunch of local comic shops and got some of my comics placed in like actual physical meet space locations, which is always pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
In that process, I found a whole bunch of other writers and creators. I found a better printer that's here local to Florida.
Oh,
called
sweet.
Comic Impressions. Shout out Comic Impressions. So whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, the Sam's thing is blowing up. It's oh my wow! Just coincidentally, we're at exactly 666% of the goal. At this exact moment.
Oh wow,
Just a
that's
little
crazy.
synchronicity there.
Hey, today
That's
I saw
nice.
I had 666 followers on Twitter or X or whatever. I was like, it's one of those times.
Yeah, but it's
So, I
supposed
mean,
to be.
we're doing as we wilt.
But 666 isn't supposed to be a bad number, right? For a brief tangent, like 666 is, yeah, they say the number of the beast, but isn't it like the wise will know the number? Isn't that like a thing, like the wise?
It's the number of a man, and so if you I forgot the wording, but a man in Hebrew amounts to 216. So 6 times 6 times 6 is 216, which is the Gematria of Gevurah, which is where the Klipo enter the tree kabbalistically. So when you say 666, you could be relating to the Babylonian sun square, which if you guys know, if you add up the verticals and the horizontals, each row will total 111. Altogether amounts to 666. There's tricks that you can do with that though that most people don't know about, like where you can actually fold the sun square and the other squares, Babylonian squares, into a tube, and you can actually like follow basically what is a stairway to the right and up. That's kind of a hard thing to find the representation of, but you can do it yourself if you just get like clear paper and draw out the squares and then kind of like twist it around on itself, and you can see the numbers will continue in the same order in progression upwards from right and up, and so that works through all those squares. I never hear anyone talk about this. The only time I've heard somebody talk about this was like a Protestant in a YouTube video that was like talking about what they call the selling of the corporation, and how like the East Coast of the United States was all laid out according to these Babylonian squares, like the grids of the cities where they had 36 square mile grids, and how actually apparently that came from Rome and something that we repeated that Rome did. That's like kind of like magically encoding into the streets. So it's not just like Washington, DC that's laid out according to particular geometries. But in this case, it's not just a geometry. It's literally like the birth of language, because, language is math in its roots. And so it's why when Babel falls, we can't understand each other's speech, is because what we were building actually had to do with mathematics and language, which are one. It's misleading when people say that the letters correspond to numbers, because although you can say that for all intents and purposes, it's literally that people were speaking in math, a point I always find really profound.
There's something that I came across, and I haven't found anyone that has given me any extra insight on this, but that there was this by the Order of the Golden Dawn. I can't remember his name, Mathis, or starts with an M. But he basically was one that made this, like the Hebrew sort of gematria popular again, but it was specifically based on the enunciation of words. So you wouldn't be able to do it just like looking at a piece of paper and transcribing it word for word. You'd actually have to know how the things were phrased. And then depending on how you pronounce certain words, you'd use different letters.
So this wasn't like an Enochian thing? Was this related with John D? Okay, yeah. I'm not familiar with this.
I'm unprepared with the name, but
Apparently
it was the guy that Crowley pissed off.
Apparently, I'm supposed to read all of the like, I don't remember saying that. What? That's crazy. Maybe I'll just look at them. Maybe I'm actually looking over for green from now on and seeing if there's anything special. Iron Maiden is excellent. Yeah, that was fair. I'll give you that.
Mathers. I think it's called the Mathers cipher.
Oh, Mathers, yeah.
And that's what I was reading, is that the Mather's table is that his was based on the enunciation of the words. So there's like a whole table that shows it on one of their pages. If you look at the Mather's table on Wikipedia, so I don't mean to put you on the spot.
It's cool. I like it because then I can pull up Google, I mean Bing, I mean whatever, like chaos math, and it'll take me directly to. I guess it takes you right back to Wikipedia anyway. What are you gonna do? We're gonna get to be like, pretend you don't like Wikipedia and you wanted to give me more information from books. Go to archive.org. Founders of the Golden Dawn, Secret Society had the Mathers cipher. Okay. So what's the Mathers cipher for? Is it part of the Ruby Cross, like what the Rosicrucians had? It says, Mathers generally credited with the design of the curriculum and rituals of the Second Order, which he calls the Rose Rubae et Ore Crucis, the Ruby Rose and the Golden Cross, eh? Right back.
Yeah, I don't know how popular it is, but apparently it's just... I had somebody contact me after I did like a show on Gematria, and they were like, this is the real one. Like, if you don't know this one, then you're just kind of like playing around a little bit. And I had never heard of it, and all the other people that I knew that were into Gematria hadn't heard of it. But everyone's heard of Mathers, but not a lot of people, I guess, use the Mathers table.
I've read books by Mathers, and I'm not familiar with this. So, I mean, as far as the enunciation Gematria part of that, I'm not seeing that there. Where do the cipher relates specifically to how things are?
So for example, there's I'll post it in the private chat. But there's a table, and it specifically says like a hard G versus like a soft G, and every different So all the different enunciations of the different consonants, they
so where does it
tell
include?
you.
Where is it here though? Because this is just standard Gematria table we're looking at right now.
So the D and DH, the hard G, like combining some of these.
You're
numbers. These numbers don't line up with traditional Gematria tables, because traditional Gematria tables don't take in consideration if you're enunciating like a hard G or a soft G. You see what I mean here on the left hand side?
You're talking about. Oh, I see. So that part. Oh, guttural. Is that?
So
Is that guttural? So how you're strong? Oh, I see it. Okay. But it still has the same. What is their different value
there
other
are
than
slight variations? Yeah. So
Okay.
I was trying to basically turn this into a formula, and I realized quickly this was the only Gematria chart that I couldn't boil down to
I
a
gotta
mathematical formula.
say I'm still not seeing it because this is literally how you pronounce the letters.
Is there somebody who would disagree, or there's some groups of Jews in different areas of the
here's an
world that
example.
disagree?
Here's a really good example. Is see the CH.
Okay.
In every Gematria, at least
at the top.
every
Yeah,
Gematria
chet.
you can find online, that use like a Hebrew cipher, for example, or a Latin cipher, they don't combine C and H to be its own number. They would actually have translated the C to be a number and the H to be a number.
But I don't get it though,
What I
because
mean?
it's just a pronunciation of the letter. Like I don't see it being different. That's literally how you pronounce it. So like tet, it's strong because it's tet. I mean that's in the pronunciation. I don't see
Right? Isn't this?
where the
It's
difference is.
assigning it the number of 8 right here, is it not?
Oh, okay. So you're just Well, okay. Hold on. Go back to the top if you could. Yeah. So this is the difference. If you were to then, like, say you're going to apply this to tarot, you'd actually be making Aleph 0. But that has to do with the Roman numerals. If you're just working out, oh, I see what you're saying. Because scroll down again. I'm sorry. What am I looking at? Yeah, no, see, because Koph is still 20.
But it doesn't go letter for letter at this point. Now you're talking about combining letters depending on how
It's
they're
still.
pronounced within a word.
I might be missing something, but I'm still seeing the same value. I'm not seeing anything different. Those are the traditional values of the Hebrew letters, and then it's giving you the sound. It says sound or power, which is kind of weird. So maybe there's something to the way that this is interpreted that I'm missing here in Mather's own articulation beyond this table. But when I just look at this table, what I'm seeing is the pronunciation of the letters included, and then it's giving its normal values.
So look at number 9 and then look at number 18. So 9 is a strong T, right? T sound.
Ted,
and then 18 has a TZ or a TS.
Yeah, it's Saudi, and then a Saudi final.
And then 22 has a TH.
Yeah, that is just literally the pronunciation. Like that's how you pronounce the letter.
Right, but that one gets attributed 400 in the values.
Yes, that's traditional. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, that's traditional Hebrew Gematria. this is the thing, is that you have all these online calculators, and they really, like, as far as Hebrew goes, Hebrew Gematria is a Hebrew Gematria. Like, people do all kinds of stuff. This is all I'm interested in. Like, as far as Gematria goes, for the most part. Like, I've seen really cool things that I like when people just do the straight English Gematria of certain things, like when it's really obvious, where you're just like, A is 1, and you go through it that way, and so it's 24. Like, I like when you take the beginning of 2001: A Space Odyssey, where it says the dawn of man, and then you take Jupiter and Beyond the Infinite, and you take Jupiter Mission 18 months later, and you add up the English Gematria for that, it totals 777, which is significant because in that film you're actually moving along the pathways that in order from, you know, the Earth to the Moon to Yesod, and then the way that it in the book it's Saturn Beyond the Infinite, and then in the movie it's Jupiter. But there's Kabbalistic significance to that, and this is admitted. Like, I've seen 2 different rabbis give talks on this at the Jewish Museum in San Francisco. Like, that both of them go into the significance of the Gematria and Kubrick films. Like, that it's not an accident, you know. And this is one such
someone were
example.
to just say Gematria, if they were just talking to you like, oh yeah, have you ever looked into the Gematria of Kubrick? Would you just automatically assume what cipher they're talking about, or would
Yes,
that be like?
absolutely. I would assume that they would be relating to this cipher. But now, since I've been shown like subliminal synchrosphere, drop that on me, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck. Who you know? There's something to that. But I've seen rabbis give talks where they're relating to the English cipher. That's the standard A is 1 with Kubrick, and they're like, you know, even though it's not Hebrew, you know, there could be an argument for just straight English Gematria having its own kind of thing, like when in the origins of the language. Like, that's seriously not out of the question. I mean, we know that that's true for
John
Greek,
D
we know
did
that's
that.
true for Roman. Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, it could just who knows? Like,
I mean, a lot of people did like break down like from the Western interpretation of sounds, and we know that. We see that, and that's
Yeah.
like, I think, kind of what Thomas is talking about when people are breaking up C and H for their, you know, Hebrew sounds out of their Western values, not getting that the combo is actually its own sound. You know, not figuring
Well, that's
out like,
why.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, they could very well be that when you're talking about this particular cipher, that like where they go with it beyond this chart is one thing, but like that chart itself is just straight that's the you know, standard Hebrew cipher utilized by the RE and every, you know, yeah.
I promised I'd read some of the member chats. This one says, Joseph Betcher says, Abbott, you read my mind about Eminem. So there you go.
Is it about which part? He has his
Probably
alter.
with AI. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
the
like where
alter
you're
ego
going.
thing. Well, I don't know. I think about Andy Kaufman having his alter ego of Tony Clifton,
Right.
and the way that you know,
Marshall
you'd have
Mathers cipher. Oh, that has to be what it is, right? The Mathers cipher.
Slim,
You did it.
Slim Shady and
You did it.
and Eminem and Marshall Mathers.
If just one person who's heard of the Mathers cipher and probably looked into it, it's got to be Marshall Mathers, right? Like, he must know about the Mathers cipher. Someone's got to have been like, "Oh, have you heard of the Mathers cipher?" at a concert in the back room. Like, he's heard about it. I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, he does have.
How much does having this all happen in a base 10 system make all these patterns? Like, for example, if we were in a base 12 system, does all of a sudden, because you were talking about the like how heavy the link is between language and everything else, right? But if, let's say we all counted to 12, right? We all had an extra finger, and now we're at base 12. Does that break down the symbolism, or do we just like find different pathways? Because then it's like, you know, 2001 scenes don't add up as 777 anymore in a base 12.
It could very well be that we're looking at a system that applies to a particular eon, and we think it's so set because we've used it for so long, but it's continued to develop. And it could be in the same way that language develops, mathematics develop, and you know, basically just looking deeper into what's already there. But it's kind of, there's this idea that the original conception of the alphabet, like of any alphabet really, like the vision of it when it first comes into being, it's like it's such a leap. It's almost like everything's a degradation from there, and that's why you can kind of relate the fall to along with language, like language breaking down as it gets more compartmentalized. Because, you know, the original conception could be like an insight, like comes like a flash. That's why it's related as like a lightning flash with the tree, you know. So It's possible it's an organic process when we first
Well,
come to conceive a language.
one thing that sticks out to me though, right? Like if you think about like Sanskrit, so Sanskrit has 49 sounds. If you think of the the pure vowels and the pure consonants, and because the consonants almost have double what we have because they have harsh and more guttural versus soft sounds of them. The 13 basic vowels and the 33 basic consonants. But there's also 11 numbers, right? Because you have systems of 10, you have 0, and so you can always like combine these at that point. So you can have like numbers of tens, and you can even create more from that. But these sounds, and I feel like you also have eventually about 60 in total, right? That are like 60 concepts which are being used. And from there, like it just seems like the hexadecimal system, like because you've got 60 symbols that you're using to make up something bigger than just base 12, and like in certain geometry patterns and everything else, it seems to be always repeating this idea that how are you dividing, by 60? And we think it's so complicated, but we do it still because we use hours all the time. So we're still thinking in 60 all the time. So it's kind of interesting, right? Like it's part of our mind. We can learn to do it, but we just think, oh man, that would be so much more complicated.
Right. Well, it's also musical, and that's kind of crazy. So like when you look at, like, if you read the sutras, like every one of those is meant to be sung, but the same thing's true for Hebrew. Like you have music annotations all throughout the language that we don't even know what ultimately that even sounded like. Like we don't know what ancient Hebrew sounded like. It's all a guess of what we're doing, especially if you have like conversational Hebrew that's a relatively recent phenomenon as it exists. Like people treated it that was designated for scripture until relatively recently.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too. So even though it was a dead language for centuries, before it was a dead language, it was already regulated at the time. Jesus was speaking Aramaic. Like at the point, most people were speaking Aramaic. So why is it that we keep, like, John Dee was obsessed with Hebrew because he's like, whoa, this is built out of numbers, right? Is that
Oh yeah, that's one of the biggest points of it. Yeah. And it's not just that it's numbers; it's particular dynamics, not dissimilar from the I Ching. It's actually like an extension of the I Ching, the 22 letters, and it's like you look at the I Ching, like what the I Ching is really like the most direct, in terms of geometry, representation of what the dynamics of the organism that we are is. Like those hexagrams, the way they work, because it's like six straight lines and 6 broken lines formed into a single 6-figure, right? Those are the hexagrams, but it happens to take 6 straight lines and 6 broken lines to form a star tetrahedron in space, 3-dimensionally. So like that doesn't seem like a mistake to me. That's describing where you have an equilibrium of a sphere, and then you're introducing distortion into it, and then seeing all the various ways in which it can compensate. And so when you're looking at the Kabbalistic tree, you're actually looking at that, but you're looking at that with language added to it. Like it's like you're looking at a cell that's split into 2 in a sense, but it's what's extending out of the organism. So it's like the I Ching actually like is part of the tree in a sense. Like you're looking at 2 hexagrams. Like that's not a mistake. You know what I mean?
Let's see if I can get
but yeah, the 22 letters correspond to the vectors of that geometry.
Is there a specific type of script that has that like musical notation that you were talking about?
It's debated. So different people interpret it slightly different ways, I guess. I'm no expert. But I do know that it's sung. You sing the scriptures. You sing like even like the Sefer Yetzirah, the Zohar. Like that's all like in the same, like script is just like that, where it's all musical, but it's kind of a guess now. Just like the language, how we treat it in conversation is kind of a guess.
Was the Old Testament basically a song at some point, or is that too far removed from like original scripture? Because that was amalgamation of different languages.
That's what's said. Yeah, that you're looking that there's indication of musical annotations throughout the Torah, the Tanakh, all of it. Yeah, and same thing like the Odyssey. The Odyssey is meant to be sung.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
it's easier to like memorize things, right? So Sanskrit didn't have a written language for 1,000 or 2,000 years. It was just singing it. That was the whole way to memorize it, and why they even.
Yeah, we have AI rap James Joyce. Do you think that would be possible?
I mean, anything's possible. Anything. We can grow Cabbage Patch Babies.
That's true.
We should get Bill on that. Yeah.
anything is possible at this point. You know about the early Rama being green, right? Like, so in some of the earlier pictures, before he's blue, he's green, which I find interesting because of that whole idea of like the Blavatsky blue wave.
Well,
And,
he wasn't ripe yet.
Could be, but like it's people can't perceive. I've been thinking a lot about that because Galileo's Error, interesting book. But then I heard the dude talk on Joe Rogan. I was less impressed. It was kind of an awkward conversation. Philip Goff was all right, but like the way he just didn't. So he's like, we can't really experience or understand the subtleties of consciousness, right? And Galileo walked away, and so the church didn't have to accept it. I agree with that premise that the church and science needed to come to terms in some way. I think that that's something that needs to happen, and it looks like it's happening now, right? And it's changing the world. But at the time, they could just spiral off into their own, I believe whatever I want to believe kind of a thing.
Right.
But then so then philosophy, he's kind of, in the interview, it feels like he's doing the same thing. Because he's saying, well, you know, imagine sound or like color and how we experience spiciness and all that stuff. And like, you know, science can't explain that. It's like, well, wait, science can't. Even Joe Rogan is like, yeah, science can explain that. Like,
science can't explain spitty slurpee.
Yeah, science is the explanation of things, right? It's the explanation of experiences, right?
Yeah,
so it's the best version of a recording of an experience because it has the least corruption of data, because it's the entire point is a generative meta tag designed to have you reproduce the conclusion of the test, right? So it's not the worst or the best, it's just it is what it is. But he's trying to act like, you know, if we can't see color, like imagine if you couldn't see red, or like all of a sudden you see red. Like how do you describe red? It's like, yeah, I mean, but then think about that. There are colorblind people who don't see red. I think I just saw Keenan posted this picture of this beautiful, you know, military placard, and then he said he was colorblind right afterwards, which I don't know.
Why
If he
are,
is.
those are all just green and gray.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Yeah,
that'd be
right.
good if there's a draft, you know.
What about those
Yeah.
glasses?
Or the Pride Parade.
Well, and I think there's something that plays into this as like the secret. Remember the theory about, you know, the Indians couldn't see the ships because they'd never seen them.
Yeah, it's like Wonder Woman.
I don't think I've ever
Oh my God.
believed that at
Dude.
any capacity, but there's a very real aspect to this whole like, well, you've never seen blue before. Well, like, put on these glasses. Maybe that's all it takes.
Hey,
I mean,
you know about cafe gratitude?
Yeah, for sure. What are you grateful
It's
for?
they got in trouble because they had as a requirement you had to read The Secret, and they had like their own like
What?
cult thing going on there that they're like, you can't work here unless if you read The Secret and like watched the film and had some like interaction.
Oh,
with
did they make you meditate and like freeze the ice into little heart crystals?
Dude, honestly, it's a lot scarier. You're making it sound less scary than it was. Let me just tell you, Cafe Gratitude was one of those Nexium hubs, as far as I could tell. I don't know, not really, not necessarily. Cafe Gratitude, God bless you, and all those people were just kidding. But at the same time, it was, they had the best raw food. They were raw food extremists, which gets people that are interested in making a change. And then there were people that were just kind of in the back running the thing. Into a, I mean, what we tried not to call it the word it could be construed as. Like, so some people claim that this seemed a lot like a cult, you know,
okay,
and we were like, this is certainly not. Well, I'm just trying to figure out how to say things. I like that better.
Right.
Always
So
remember
what makes a cult other than time and numbers, you know?
Yeah. So there were people, and then eventually the people who ran the thing were like caught eating meat because they had to have like, they were in Vacaville with their own farm. The two owners that did this thing.
Oh,
and
how
they
humiliating.
They were like killing their own animals because they had to or something. I don't know. They had figured out that it was necessary to like farming, you know, as part of like nature or something like that.
We're on a very
Right.
specific tangent right now, and I just have to say the best cult / deli in the world is Yellow Deli.
Yellow
So
Deli.
We've
PM
talked
says
about it
thumbs up.
before, but it is the best cult / sandwich.
Yellow
what
Deli.
if the place made you read Nietzsche? Like that I could almost be down with. I'm
That's
like,
probably what they do at Yellow Deli, though. We don't know. It could be. What is this?
Yeah,
This is the
that's
Vermont
it.
12 Tribes
Correct.
Communities thing.
That's
Boom.
the cult behind it, but the Yellow Deli is a legit deli that makes the best sandwich and soup I've had in my entire life. I would be willing to join a cult if I knew that they could deliver on like this good of a sandwich. Oh my god, they're so good. I swear to God.
But that's all it takes, bro. Extra has you covered. That's for sure. We can make a deli. That could be part of the front. the
It's
deli.
very smart, man. You fill somebody's stomach up, and
Oh, it does
especially
look good. Oh, that does look good.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, and you get it with the soup.
Oh,
and
and the sprouts.
Like, this
It's
is
like
not
Eric's
this is
Deli
not all
kinda.
raw. Like they'll serve you some badass pastrami and everything. Like they're
Dude.
not holding back at this place.
Keenan, thank you so much for gifting a membership. That's awesome, man. I hope like that's like well used by you people. Appreciate Keenan because he's giving you a membership. What a nice guy.
Hey,
Keenan.
we got a really good question in the comments from
Yeah?
Eric Bassett. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but he says, "How has there not been a film about John Dee, or has there? Has there been a film about John Dee? I feel like he's shown up in something. I can't remember.
Yeah,
what
he's
it was,
always in
though.
the background, right? But isn't like Rumpelstiltskin kind of about John Dee, like or something? Isn't like everything about everything else kind
I
of?
thought that was Trumpelstiltskin, and that was kind of the point. There's something to
Somebody
that.
trying to turn straw into gold, though, that kind of idea, and like being kept in the castle and all that. I feel like it's maybe like transformed a bit, but Rumpelstiltskin probably is like the background character of.
You could make an argument that a lot of the depictions of Merlin, like for example, Disney's Robin Hood, like that's John Dee-ish, like very much so.
I can see it. He's skullcap kind of thing, also, in like Excalibur. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we could do the Bard check, or just.
I mean,
I'll just be like-
technically, 007 movies, right? All the James
Yeah.
Bond movies are.
And
That's what they say. So his signature supposedly was a 007 with the 7 going like the top of the 7 went over it. It kind of looked like John Lennon's glasses or something.
Yeah,
Oh, there it is.
It's a great picture of it.
Somebody put it over his eyes like that
Yeah,
down
this
below.
thing.
And then, no, the other one next to it. On the
Where?
other side. See the bottom left?
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
That he's wearing the glasses, man.
But
That's-
that
you
was
know.
the signature.
But like there was a thing with Ian Fleming. He had the guy who he envisioned to be his 007 in film, and it was always David Niven. And David Niven actually was he in Eye of the Devil, which was Sharon Tate's first film.
Oh, that's
And
nuts.
yeah, so
This guy?
this
Doesn't
fucking
he
guy.
look like the other guy? Who's the guy who wanted to be like? Who's like the James Bond movie that shouldn't have been made?
He looks like one of those rubber hand puppets.
Oh well, there's Casino
On Her
Royale.
Majesty's Secret Service, starring. No, not that one. That's the good one. What's the
No,
bad one?
but the Casino Royale was the one. I think it's Peter Sellers, right?
Peter Sellers.
And Peter Sellers is playing the actor 007 in this movie, but at the beginning of the movie, he visits the actual 007, which is played by David Niven, who was, like I say, in Fleming's original conception of
looks
who would
so-
play
yeah.
007.
Sellers totally plays Niven. That's nuts. That's crazy. It's perfect.
Yeah. It's especially crazy with 13, aka Eye of the Devil, which I've been recommending to Thomas to check out for the comic that we're working on.
It's on my list for sure.
Eye of the Devil what is this? Is this the British horror film?
Yeah, it's this. Yeah, so this is Sharon Tate's debut film. So her debut film had 2 alternative titles, and actually, if you watch the movie, it'll say both titles, one at the beginning and one at the end. So the other title is 13, and then her last movie was
right.
called 12 plus 1, otherwise known as 13 Chairs. And so, like, as far as the Arcana is concerned, it recalls, obviously the Death card was actually the only unnamed Arcana in Marseille Tarot. So, or as far back as we can go with Tarot, it didn't have a title, and then it was given the title of Death later. But it's interesting. But also, I would relate it to like the 13th diagonal that isn't diagonal, the Gimel on the Kabbalistic tree, because that's there's a big significance there. We've discussed it.
What's your necklace about? This is the Eye of the Devil.
That's the eye. Yeah, this whole thing, man. You've never seen this movie? This
No,
is
I don't
fucking
think so.
crazy.
I gotta watch
Yeah,
this.
she's
I'll watch
a
this week.
witch. She's a witch. So then it's weird, like in Valley of the Dolls, when she comes in the room and she says that witch ought to be burned in oil. Oh yeah, I know this lady. She follows me on Twitter, not the actress, but the director of this film.
The Love
'cause
Witch definitely seems like it's
yeah.
inspired or connected to this. I saw this recently.
I sync this with Wise Blood's album Front Row Seat to Earth, and I got followed by the director of this film after I did it, which is really nice that, you know, because obviously I would think as a director, you'd be like attached to the way your film is presented or whatever. I thought that was really nice of her to like totally be supportive of that one.
Oh yeah, this is recent. Okay, I'll check this out too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't
love that
ask.
movie. It's an awesome movie.
Yeah, that's true. This is a great movie. This is pretty real. There's a lot of people I know like this in the world. At least in Santa Cruz, I guess.
It's the exposure. The way they shot that is like really classic. But,
yeah, they did a good job. What did you think? I mean, so I was gonna also ask you, David, like, what did you do this week? Because I know you've been working and stuff. I know we didn't ask until 35 minutes later, but
I don't really have anything huge to report for this week.
Cannot
But I've
disclose.
been working on sync films pretty consistently. So things are coming together as far as that goes. But yeah.
sweet. What's your next sync film gonna be about, or is it a secret?
Oh man, well I'm going kind of crazy because I'll try and upload stuff and I'm still running into challenges. I saw that the sound was one part of the issue, just so you know. I don't need to talk about my own stuff like that.
No, but that's always a thing that's interesting is like these things are different lengths, and then they'll have like an MPEG audio thing every 8 seconds or something.
It's just with transmission. I found that when I was you know, raising the quality at all from like just fast 1080p and doing high quality, it would just it would give me surround sound, and X didn't like the surround sound, I don't think. So I at least got some traction there of having things go up a little easier that way. It's very particular when it comes to the longer films what X will allow, you know. So,
Do you ever run movies backwards, like the visual backwards, and then play audio forwards?
I have, yeah, I've done all kinds of weird things like that.
I have that like made it all the way to the site, or are those more like
yeah. No, I got a bunch of weird stuff like that. I got one, if it's what you're talking about, but I like play Eyes Wide Shut mirrored against itself in a larger configuration, actually with all 3 Star Wars prequels, and with the Beatles' White Album and Charles Manson's album Lie. But it's this crazy thing. But yeah, Eyes Wide Shut mirrored against itself, and then when it gets exactly halfway through the film, one of the sides that's mirrored goes in reverse, and then the other side finishes. So they'll both end at the same time, but it'll go backwards as you're watching it. So and it happens. The middle point actually happens to be a really significant, interesting point. The way it happens to do that. So like. You'd have to see the actual working, but like the delivery at the end, it's just like it's baffling, like because it did itself, you know.
It's like Pee Wee Herman stuff where like they do it on purpose. Like, you ever seen High School Musical 2 backwards? You don't watch all these backwards? I don't watch them forwards before I've seen them backwards. Are you kidding me? Have you seen High School Musical 2's got one of the best, like, Hail Satan! Like, I will do what you say, Satan! And it's all really like at the pool scene and all this. It's like, well, you know how these things work. Like,
wait, they really did this in with High School Musical 2?
Well, no, it's not. I mean, in my opinion,
can we get sound? I don't think we get in trouble for playing it backwards, can we?
Can we? We probably will, but it's all right.
If they're over here talking about Satan, I want to hear it.
People popping out of pools and stuff like that. I'm so worried. Let's just see if I go a little bit.
Do you know where it is in this? Where, because it's like
3
minutes of listening.
Here's right here. That's a good one.
Oh, it does. Satan, I heard it.
And it's like Mia Mejima, which is probably Babylonian. I don't know.
Well, you know, Pitch Perfect 2, among other films, including the Transformers franchise. There's a list, but that were actually produced. They're paid for by Israeli intelligence. And so you never know, man.
Which one was
what their incentive? Pitch Perfect 2 was actually produced
that makes
by
sense.
Israeli intelligence.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't think the first one was actually.
That's too bad.
But yeah.
There's a good Bill Hicks skit where he's talking about like, do you think it's more evil playing, you know, like Led Zeppelin backwards, or just playing New Kids on the Block, you know, forwards? Or if there were going to be some kind of an evil satanic message, it would probably be on the New Kids on the Block album. and not like a badass metal album.
I feel like, didn't he also just make a bit around like, just, dude, I think you're fucking evil for scratching up my record trying to play it backwards, because he probably wasn't, you know, a Technics 1200 or something. He's probably just like fucking a regular needle, you know, like, what the fuck are you doing in America? No, man, check it out, man. Only real diamonds cut glass, you know. Like, get off my windshield.
Man, I just remember like going into like Urban Outfitters and all the records that they'd melted into like bowls, and all the people on the internet destroying their records. It's
So
like,
cheesy.
well, it's like, it's horrible, but it's also horrible because it's like so many people are into destroying things, and we're getting to a point where like very quickly, you know, anything from our childhood is going to be worth like a collector's item because it was so brittle and so like poorly taken care of that if it exists at all.
Dude, I sold the little lock that came with Skeletor. It was like a little green lock that like went on the chains. The lock sold for like $70 on eBay. Just like this little tiny, and it was just because it happened to be snuck inside some like old box of crap that I had from when I was a kid, and I didn't. I lost it, but then I found it. You know what I mean?
And someone cried. Someone cried. You made someone's like life complete. You know what I mean? That's the weirdest part.
Someone completed their Skeletor set. Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. Also, like the like magazines and things that are worth money because they'll be like $1,000 or $2,000 or something like that. If you had like Nickelodeon magazines, those are worth lots of money. So yeah, all of a sudden, all those things are starting to hit like their collectible value.
Nintendo Power.
Dude, if you have Nintendo Power, yeah, you could send kids to college, I'm sure. Like that's
Yeah, you know what? That's really handy with Super Mario Brothers 3. If you have the Nintendo Power for that one, because when you got all the like, you got the little like boxes to figure out which ones match, whatever. You can just do them all at once. Get all of that shit. Oh, it's necessary.
Or you could just watch The Wizard too, and then that's all you really needed.
The wizard is a little misleading. He does things in there that are totally counterintuitive. And well, in the first place,
He gets the
how
flute.
did he know?
He
I
shows
know
you how
he's
to get the freaking flute.
he does show you some secrets. He shows you a couple. It's true.
The flute was like world changing.
Right, but how are you going to figure out how to get through Bowser's castle at the end? You know, I mean, you can do it anyway. I did it not long. I played Super Mario Brothers 3 about a year ago with somebody, and I get to the end, and I'm at Bowser, and I forgot that you're supposed to let him kill himself. You're supposed to let him jump around until he breaks the bricks he's standing on, and then falls to his death. And I went and I attacked him. I was like, I just got through Bowser's castle, and then I was like at the end of my lives too, and I was just like, what did I just do? I was supposed to let. It felt like something really. There's something poignant about the symbolism of how you're through the whole game you're attacking everybody that you see at the end boss or whatever. You got to get and jump at him again, get over around, and then you get to Bowser and you're just like, just leave him alone. He'll kill himself. Like,
have you ever? This is a related tangent, but the X-Men game for Genesis, the way that you had to beat it. Is you had to hit the freaking reset button on the front. Like the ball, I got to that end point so many times, and I never knew that was what you have to do until I read it in like a magazine. But I could only imagine someone naturally figuring that out for themselves and then being like, I'm just going to hit the reset. I wouldn't have been able to make myself do it.
It's Noah's Arcade. The beauty part is you never get to the next level. So the kids keep coughing up quarters.
Have you guys seen like the new Mario 3D games that exist now? Like they're super fancy and cool. Like there's this one is like, I think it's Super Mario 3D World, and it's freaking like, it's pretty impressive. Like it's more psychedelic than ever before. You can like fly around in the game. I know we've never like talked about games like this before, but it's pretty sweet. Like the kinds of new Mario shenanigans that have been created.
Is this the new one? Is there one called like Extreme or something where you turn into an elephant?
Yeah, is that not this one? Or is that
I
Mario?
wouldn't know. I honestly wouldn't
Extreme elephant. Yeah, the elephant thing. I did it. It was great. Super 3D Mario World. Is that the one? Where
I guess
the one.
that's the one.
I think this is it. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, and it some of it looks more impressive than other parts, but it's like basically every kind of Mario game at once. It has the Mario 64, Mario scrolling levels, Mario World, Mario 3D, Super Mario World 3 versus like the regular Super Mario 1, like all gameplay kind of jammed into a single game. It's pretty elevated.
You know what I like was Cuphead. You guys played Cuphead?
Dude, Cuphead's
Bill has Cuphead, and we must have talked about this. I just love the psychedelic art. It's like a total.
I wish there was
acid
an
trip.
easier mode. I wish there was a mode where like you just didn't ever die, because
The
holy
easier
hell.
mode is you get a kid to play it with you who's like 10, basically.
Right.
Kids who are adapted like Anakin to this world. That's what you need.
You called it. That's how
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, it's an amazing game though. It's true. I mean, also all the art. You know, there's a show about this. Have you seen the Cuphead show?
I have not seen the Cuphead
Yeah,
show.
the Cuphead show is really evil. I mean, like, I don't know, it's really sinister. It's awesome. Like basically, it's about Cuphead selling his soul, and then they have to go get the soul back, and they're trying to mess with the devil the whole time.
Oh, it's just a full Faustian thing, huh?
Yeah, it's full Faust on Netflix for kids in the kids section. It's the new kids show about Faust.
So it sounds to me like it's kind of like the Care Bears movie, come full Urkel.
Yeah, I feel like this is. It seems like you should know this is darker. Something about Care Bears is like, obviously, you know, kids are gonna think Care Bears are cute. I guess because I don't know. We've already gotten to the point where we think bears are cute. Good job, Teddy Roosevelt.
Well, I'm just talking about one Care Bears movie, and you reminded me of it at Burning Man because I had completely forgotten. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and you were like, "Dude, no, the Care Bears movie was like Faust and the Sorcerer's Apprentice." And like, and I yeah.
There's like a top hat in the freaking, you know, look at that top hat right there.
Yeah, but this is like a reissue of it. This isn't the original cover. I mean, it's retro, man. It's super retro.
It's super dark.
It's at the top to the left there, but yeah.
Where's the like scene of the magic book? Like the magic book is the thing.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's got the Necronomicon going on with it, and when somebody told me about Facebook. The first day that I ever heard the words Facebook, I visualized two things. I visualized the Necronomicon from Evil Dead 2. It's in Evil Dead 1 also, whatever.
That's right. Dude, I'm remembering this. Yes.
Yeah, you got it. Right.
God.
So this thing like fucking like totally like lures this kid into like basically wanting, you know, power or whatever, but he's just at the service of this freaking crazy book lady.
Yeah, and she's like, as she's becoming more material, like she's becoming, as he's doing more magic and losing more of his soul, she becomes more material, more empowered. And it's super clear that he's just playing into it because he's a lonely guy who doesn't have a lot of friends. And all the runes, too, like the use of the runes. I mean, I think Othala and everything else is just straight up Emerald Tablet stuff. Oh, here it is. This is it, where you're just like, dude, she's gonna straight up take that boy, you know?
Yeah,
it's
and he fancies himself a magician, so it's got like this kind of like young Crowley thing going on, you know, where he's like, he wants to be a real magician, and a Sorcerer's Apprentice because he's literally the apprentice for this magician, but he's just having to do all the work stuff he's like bored with, you know. But yeah, super.
This is why I haven't seen this since I was like legitimately a kid.
The Care Bear Stairway to Heaven. It's weird, man, because this is the thing with the Care Bears is that they try to get the problem from every conceivable angle that they can think of. They you know, and it always comes down, not always, but it usually comes down to this point where they're forced into a position where they're like, oh, screw it, we're going to do the Care Bear stare, and the more Care Bears that they have, the more powerful the stare is, which is really like if you just stare at it, it feels
well, this is how cops operate, right? Like you just
right.
Send all
it's how cops operate, and super new agey, like narcissistic, like the secret crowd, you know what I'm saying? Sorry to, you know, if it sounds paradoxically judgmental, but I'm talking about like the judgmental hippie thing. They'll totally do like, we're just doing the Care Bear stare, and they'll just stare you down to try and like, if you have like a disagreement about something and you're like, no, that's bullshit, and they're just they'll give you that Care Bear stare. I just care this much, you know. So, but you know, ideally, if you're coming from a good place, it would actually work, but you can't fake that, you know what I mean?
It tripped me out when I found out that like one of the main people that got like hypno recruited by Nexium was the dude who made the What the Bleep Do We Know series.
Yeah, word.
I mean, it's just because someone's using the secret, and it was like the warning that like we were putting out even as teenagers, like, hey, if you empower yourself with someone else's power, like their money and their power, you know, you want more money, you're getting more of their face on it, like
right. Oh, dude, totally. And so this actually ties back to something I was wrong about last week. because you showed the Kabbalah Center, and I was like, you mean the Kabbalah Society? Because it wasn't computing that the Kabbalah Center was the Kabbalah Center. So that place that you showed me, that is Madonna's deal. Like that's what she's involved in.
There it goes.
Yeah, just to be clear. And that is actually very similar to the secret crowd, or whatever you want to call them, the particular type of new age hippie.
I mean,
but
as weird. Okay, like I'm in the defense of evil. Like Madonna is interesting, and her getting into Kabbalah and everything is just slightly more interesting. And if you didn't want that helmet before Madonna because of Skeletor and Skeletor, Masters of the Universe, Gold Crown, because that's a horrible version, right? But
you're gonna go to the movie. You want the movie version?
I want that. That's what I want. But like, I can see what she's trying to do, and like, she's on her way. You know, like this is just, you can eventually get here if you like. It's consequentialism. But the movies, right? Because Guy Ritchie, is that right?
Right.
That's right.
Guy Ritchie.
He makes some fun Kabbalah flicks, and it's impossible not to. And the only way you're gonna enjoy his movies is if you're into numerology, as far as I can tell. I don't know. Like, I don't know if everyone else even likes his movies, but if you're like,
Lock, Stock was amazing, man. I love that.
He
7,
went
8,
from
9,
Lock, Stock to Aladdin, the live action Aladdin with, what was it, Will Smith? You guys know? What the hell? Yeah, it's fascinating. And then
because
he
he's
did
like,
the Covenant recently. Which
he's
is
like, I
actually,
can do anything with numerology. But yeah, the Covenant is actually the best.
The Covenant isn't just named the Covenant; it's named Guy Ritchie's The Covenant.
Have you seen The Covenant yet? Actually, like, it's pretty based.
It was good. It was a good movie.
Movie. I mean, the first thing is you get that Mormon vibe because the name Covenant is like, that's their word, you know, but it's not, because it's a Jewish thing. And so you can see what he's doing here. He's making a movie about a goyim in the Midwest who becomes a soldier and has to complete his covenant, right? Because he's like endowed with this important like militant priesthood that he's in. And he's been rescued, and he has to, you know, fulfill his obligations. And other people, you see how they have obligations too. And it's this very like real world look at your obligations. And
it's also just a covenant between.
Good.
Yeah, it's the covenant between these two men, like, and then it's held by the nature of itself. Like, they don't really have a choice, really. It gets to that point, because if he goes against it, he knows what it means for him. So there's almost, it's like it's mutually needed, you know. But yeah, good movie. And also it kind of felt like it was like the Jarhead thing. Like, they're like, okay, we had Gyllenhaal for the Iraq war, so here we'll have him in Afghanistan. It felt kind of like there was something.
I felt it was a joke, but no, it really is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant.
I wasn't joking.
How do you even deal with that?
Generation Kill, it came out right after The Wire was on its high, and they had a bunch of the guys from The Wire that were in it. But it was, so far, it's by far the best military movie that I've ever seen. Or I guess miniseries.
Really?
Movie.
The best military movie I've ever seen was Come and See. That's the best military movie I've ever seen. And I say that in the face of Full Metal Jacket and everything else. That's Apocalypse Now. Those are great movies, but Come and See is like, it's really something extraordinary. If you ever know like that effect, like when you're like,
oh right, yeah, of course,
so you know, where they'll do this effect. Steven Spielberg would do it with Saving Private Ryan, where it's like an explosion happens, and you're like, your ears are ringing, like as in the audience, like they make it so there's like this ringing sound, and everything's like, you know, it like dubbed down, and then like, it's like the sound starts to come in, and then all of a sudden someone grabs them, and it's like the movement, whatever. This movie was the first movie to do that effect, and they did it the best. Like, I've never seen somebody do it as well, where there's just like a series of explosions, and this kid loses his hearing, and so the way that's, you know, it has a really immersive effect, I guess you could say.
But don't worry, he's all right. There he is today. It all worked out. But yeah, seriously, that was a nuts movie. And it's also like everything is collapsing in the Soviet Union around them too. So like, I feel like they're processing a lot with this film.
Yeah.
The bear though, we talked a bit about Care Bears, and that kind of got me thinking about like the Kabbalah relationships of Aleister Crowley and the bear and like all that. You said some things before. What are your thoughts?
Which part? I don't know what we're referring to exactly.
Oh, like, you know, Winnie the Pooh and all that, Mercurial Messenger.
Oh, like, sure. Yeah. Well, that's actually, it'd be nice if Alex was here for that. He can tell you more. As you get into bear talk, he'll talk your ear off on bears.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Bears, yeah.
Oh yeah, no. So the occult symbolism of the bear. He has like basically that he has this thesis, and he's not alone with it. There's like, what is it? Sean Fella um, wrote up all this. Like, there's an extensive blog about Kubrick and bear obsessions. I mean, in The Shining, there's several bears. It's a repeating Kubrickian thing. So they would say that it's like
Repeating pattern of
subliminal.
bears.
Yeah, they say like it's we've discussed it before, where you showed you the Shining poster, and some people see it and some don't. It's very much like a magic eye once you see the bear in the.
Oh
Shining
yeah,
poster.
I didn't see it. I tried really hard that one time. You guys were pointing it out, but I never saw it.
For a while, I thought that they were just messing with people, and then I actually saw it. Now I can't unsee it. It's like it's a weird thing, but whatever.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's interesting also just like the symbol of the bear being associated with the Grateful Dead. Like, do you have thoughts on the Grateful Dead?
I thought I didn't realize to any degree like the significance of the Grateful Dead until I met like people who were basically raised with going to the Grateful Dead and their relationship to the experience of it. So it's kind of like, it's very much about the people. It's not just about the band. It's like a rainbow gathering type of thing.
I've got a semi-serious question. It sounds facetious because part of it is, but like, could you explain to me why there's like deadheads, but there couldn't be like hammerheads, like MC Hammerheads?
Well, I mean, I don't know about MC Hammer in particular, but I know that, if you like Katy Perry, apparently you're a Katy cat. And if you like, Lady Gaga, you're a quote little monster, which could be a reference to that Fred Savage movie with Bobby from Bobby's World. I'm not sure.
I think also like MC Hammerheads
the untouchable Mandel, bro. Come on.
Hammerheads exist. MC Hammer became a minister in Oakland, and he one time came to my church as a kid. So I would almost.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he came to St. Andrew's Bible Church one time. But he lost all his money, of course.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah, he's covering his hands with Cheetos right now.
Yeah, it's a Cheetos ad.
Maybe it's a Cheetos ad. There you go.
I'll do whatever. I'm MC Hammer.
I'll do whatever you want me to pull together. I'm not afraid to get a little Cheetos on my hands for
I guess what I was getting at though is there something special about being a deadhead that you would never get from being a hammerhead?
I mean, it's a religious experience because you're like an atheist who's been abandoned by your family. A lot of glitch happening right now.
Whoa!
Whatever I said, they did not like. Apparently,
they didn't like that. You were like, leave him alone. Dude, yeah, no. My sister's husband's sister is in the music video for Hammer Time. It's weird.
I mean, one of the things is that they, if they have the psychedelic ritual at like the Burning Man is like a continuation of what was going on at these Grateful Dead gatherings, and the gatherings for Grateful Dead weren't originally for the Grateful Dead, and the Grateful Dead originally was called Warlocks, and this came up the other night actually because somebody sent me a video. They're like, oh, we should be careful about Ken Kesey acid test pass the test because they found this. Is this it? They found this footage of Ken Kesey talking about, can you pass the acid test? And one of the scenes in this, I don't know if I can find it now without getting in trouble, but you can actually see that it's the Paul Sweethouse that they're doing.
Oh, really? They go to the Paul Sweethouse, and this, what is it? Is it from a documentary, or is this some lost?
Well, no, this is old footage, but then they put it together into a it's actually made its way into one of these things here. I think there it is right there. You can see the wall there when they're coming into the thing.
Oh, wow. We used to go to parties here, man.
Yeah, so I have that video. I was like, Paul Sweethouse 2007. I was immediately posted back. I was like, here we are at the Paul Sweethouse in that exact room, like
right.
The events and everything. And the same kinds of
situations. Sweet for the ignorant.
Ooh, that's a long one. Paul Sweet was a whaler. The son of a whaler, 1800s. I don't think I'll ever find a picture of him. Basically, he was a son of a whaler who got off
He's
the
somewhere on
boat.
that boat.
He got off that he got off that boat, and then he married an Indian girl in Santa Cruz like 100 years ago. And there's a lot of legends about him, but I think most of them have dissipated at this point. But he was a very interesting man. He used to take pedophiles and like criminals that wouldn't be arrested because they were highly important in the town, and he would tie them to the back of his horse and pull them around Branciforte on dirt roads, and get rid of like criminals and things like that back when law was lawless, in California and everything like that. But he ended like right behind the Dominican hospital, which he donated the land for apparently, and for the cemetery there is his grave, not in the cemetery, but on his own property. And then there's also his house. And his house was really important for a lot of people centuries like later, because it became, where a lot of hippies gathered. Basically, it's been that way ever since. I think it's probably changed now. I think it's like a French language boarding school or something.
He didn't
strange.
sound like a hippie.
No, he's like kind of looked like you, had a big beard and all that other stuff, and was son of a whaler. But he just decided he didn't want to whale anymore. He liked it in Northern California, Central California, 100 years ago. So he just kind of like got off the boat.
Did hippies have an affinity to him, or just because he left his house empty?
It's just the house, yeah. Paul Sweethouse is kind of like Wayne Manor,
house.
Toad Hall. You just keep the name of the, if the house lasts for a few centuries, you keep the name of the person who built it, essentially. And so he had a huge spread of property.
There's a lagoon vibe in that particular little area for some reason. It's just the way that the soil is and everything, the plant life is. It just feels like you're kind of in a jungle a little bit. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff that's happened there for centuries. Like there's some neighbors there who've talked about like they had like this old man I met who had this recurring blade. His name was Lance. I shouldn't say his whole name, but like he was like he had reoccurring dreams since he was a child of being like a little Indian boy in a cave and hearing someone tell him to light the candle in Spanish, and like eventually he figured out what it meant, and then eventually like he's in his property that he's like digging around, and he is trying to dig out some stones, and he blows up something and he falls down and he hits his head, and he has like the dream again, but this time he realizes that they were having him hold dynamite, and that this is like a memory like or something of like a child who blew up the entrance to this cave, and then he found a bunch of like gold and all sorts of other stuff that was like in the cave that had been like held from pirate times or something to that effect, or like smugglers at least.
You brought up something really interesting about I'm hearing my voice echo a little bit. Are other people hearing that, or is that just okay? Whatever. I guess your headphones. I don't think. Yeah. Maybe that'll change it. Okay, sorry. Anyway, you brought up the point of Burning Man as it relates to the Deadhead thing. And so what Burning Man was when it very first started, beyond just Larry Harvey, but the actual, like all the people that were drawn to that event, and, many of the things that went on for them, the Grateful Dead crowd really directed what ultimately became of Burning Man in a way that if left to its own, it probably wouldn't be anything like what we see today. It's a huge influence on Burning Man. So like I can tell you, I got a good friend who shared with me his first year of Burning Man, which was in the earliest days of doing it out on the playa following the beach. And he set up his tent in the middle of the night, and he woke up in the morning to like crazy moaning, like all these women like moaning super loud, and he opened up his tent, and there was like a large group of naked women all wearing strap-ons taking turns with a blow-up doll, like taking turns like having at it with this blow-up doll on the desert floor, like right in front of his tent. So he's just like, he's a teenager at the time, like he's my age, like he went there super young. I'm talking about Damien, by the way. I think he'd be all right with me sharing this. And so anyway, so he described this to
Everyone's
me,
got a story just like that, though, right?
Well, this is the thing. It's not just that. It's that he sees this. He goes out to check out what's going on, and he ends up stumbling on this group of people, large group of people, all with paper bags over their heads, with little holes cut out in the bags, and they're like rocking back and forth, and they're all speaking Latin in unison. And then they brought out there's a guy with like nipple rings and all kinds of rings in his body and chains attached to them. And they brought out a dead goat, already dead. And then somebody ripped it apart with their bare hands and were like smearing, but there's like a guy hanging from his nipple rings, basically, other rings on his body with chains. And it was just like, and everybody, he said the thing that was crazy is that everybody, right, totally. But he was
what
like,
happens at summer camp stays, was it like the music camp?
So this is, so fuck damn. So it's like, so it's like, he said it was just crazy that they all knew the words. Like, he's like, who is this group of people and they had like poles with like animal heads all stacked on them, like real dead animal head, like just total insanity. And then he shot an AK-47 on the back of a Jeep going at like 80, 90 miles an hour. He was like 15 years old.
This is like early 90s, right? This is before.
This is early.
Cool stuff. Because there were still a lot of cool people, and it was like programmers from Lucasfilm and ILM, and early tech people were different and more wild and a lot more free, I think. And
right.
Woke wasn't
it could
part
have
of it.
been anything. Like what it could have continued to become and be. There was kind of like there's a directive that happened, and it was like a lot of that was deadheads. People who had gone from
and Rainbow Gathering, right? The Rainbow Gathering is also
which itself is just exactly. But the Rainbow Gathering itself is just an extension, really, of the Deadhead movement because it wasn't just about the band, and that's the point,
But it was the music system and the acid, because you had these surround sound systems before anyone else had surround sound, and you had perpetuated sound, amplified speakers that were going on beyond the crowd. So it created an experience that was beyond anything that you could just do even with earphones, because you're literally having your equilibrium thrown out by the cascading oscillation of the sound. So it does something physically to you to be in those events, and then while you're inebriated, right? Because a lot of these people have never been inebriated before. They're teenagers or kids, and that's the thing. This was happening in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Like people were, and a lot of their kids were grown up in this because they were naive, didn't know what was happening, didn't have birth control, which is probably a good thing. But then that led to a lot of kids we know who were raised like in that, just like their whole. I know plenty of kids who were raised in Deadhead gatherings until it got to the age where their parents stopped taking them, and
or when Jerry died, and some people moved on from that when Jerry died, and so it's like, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. I met a woman; she had just won a larva eating contest, and we were at the rain dance camp out, and she was raised going to the Grateful Dead. She'd been to I don't know how many hundreds of shows
all over America.
Her whole childhood, she was just like she was raised in that music. And she was like, no, you're not going to get it. Because I was like, I don't see what the big deal is with Grateful Dead. She's like, because you're not going to from the records. Like the records are one thing. They are what they are. But she's like, you never would play the same song the same way twice. And it was just like, it was like that wall of sound and the community. So she was like,
it's the community. They're selling things.
I was part of the community, you know?
These people don't know anything else. They sell shirts, they sell art, like they're making by hand and stuff like that. Like it's interesting because it kind of reminds me of the Hare Krishnas or something. Like there's very little to their lives outside of this at a certain point. And yeah, like it can lead, also there's, I think that it's used for, organized, what do you say, like you can control, like the government like allows certain people to do certain things because they know who they are, and that
and also that they're using it in certain ways and they're observing it very closely. And so you'd have to be crazy to not think that Jerry Garcia wasn't more than approached by the CIA.
Yeah, paid, like the Freedom of Information Act shows that the Warlocks were on CIA payroll. Yeah,
there's it's just
because they played at all the UCs, they played at all the university schools. Why did the schools let them play there otherwise? Dang, dude! And all of a sudden, Keenan again want to send a super chat, gift a membership. Look at him, beautiful man. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, that's one thing, and then the other thing is with surround sound, the whole experience also physically changes you, and so I think at a certain point you maybe become addicted to that experience because it's a hypnotism system, and Burning Man too. Like there's all these are people who started, like I said, in ILM and things, so they're about the illusion of magic, very similar. Like they're Disney employees, like wet engineer people were involved at the beginning. Like they
sounds like an inversion of the original secret mystery schools, like Ulysses, where they would go underground into a cave, but now it's like above ground. Everyone's allowed. You can come back year after year, which is all the exact opposite of what.
Well, you can't go into everyone's tent still, so there's still mystery schools. I was going to say the next thing is there are mystery schools at Burning Man that meet at Burning Man, and so that's a big thing. Like some people will be looking for a sex tent or something like that, and they don't realize what they're getting is the Temple of Isis or one of these religious. They exist.
Well, there is the Great Canadian Beaver Eating Contest that happens about I think 2 to 3 days before Burning Man starts every year. But yeah, that's the thing. I've never
Can't be a
to
coincidence, right?
I looked for it one year. I was interested to see that. I don't know how they do it because there's judges. Like it's a serious competition for beaver eating. You know.
Dang.
Just to be clear, what are we talking about right now?
Are we talking Canadian about literal beavers?
We're talking about like Winona's big brown beaver.
We're talking about
Canadian beaver.
No, there's a cunnilingus. Am I saying that right?
Okay.
Competition that happens like before Burning Man starts every year, a few days before it starts, and so apparently a lot of people show up for that, even just to witness it. You know, the nature of it. You know, because how do they gauge that?
Non-binary? Can you just show up and just be like, it's down there?
No one used the word non-binary the last time that I went to Burning Man.
Things have changed a lot. You gotta understand, like those kinds of things didn't exist. People used to think Friends was woke when Burning Man started.
right.
You know what I mean? It was a better time. But I don't know. Yeah, the thing about this, the sexual occult temples, I think, a lot of people are thinking they want to get involved with something like interesting and sexy or something like that, and they don't realize that they're getting involved with like these really weird like temple magic ceremonies that exist. And Burning Man has a lot of those. It's not just one or another. And we've seen, you're talking about like dead animals, but like I've got videos of just like freaking dried cats and freaking mummified animals that they brought, these huge, like it's out of control. Yeah, for sure. Like this
Alf was there apparently.
Dude, I believe it. Is Paul Fusco a burner? That could make sense. I can see that.
Well, there's always this really strange aspect to Burning Man where I feel like there's like an energy. It's like when the man burns sometimes. I hate to say this, but it almost feels like they took something from us. Like we were building up this energy, and then they're just like, it's like, just like, whoop, here we
I'm glad you're saying it. I think it's really important. I should zoom out just in case anyone's not wearing a shirt. But, like, that's the thing. It's not keeping the energy going towards something. Like, you could pave a road with that energy. You could build a tower with that energy. And they do, but then they burn it down.
Then they burn it down.
I get that
mandala teaches you something, but
it's the thing. It's important. Like, we get it. Like, it just sucks though, because I guess you want something. You want to just do it somewhere else next year, like burn. But maybe it's important to show like you build in a day and tear down a bridge in a day. Like I don't know. It's also because the technology next year is going to be better technology, and they know it, and they're constantly contributing the technology, contributing like the state that they're in now. And so by next year, relying on what you had before, you might not think to bring new things. And so you to constantly do it again, it's constantly new. I get it.
Didn't you mention there's like a VIP section to Burning Man where like Al Gore would come and like watch it and then fly away?
Yeah, so there's the airport essentially, and near the airport at in the years prior, before, or now there's just billionaires who just come with like big caravans. You know what I mean? I think people get upset about that, and so there is kind of a push against, but it still happens. Like tech people became billionaires. What are you gonna do? Like they're gonna.
I met a congresswoman once. I think she's a congresswoman. She wasn't a congresswoman. She was a senator, but she was a bigwig and she had bodyguards. And I was on my friend's bus called what's it called? The Dingo bus, something like that. I guess, yeah, Dingo something. But anyway, they sit on the top of it and they drive him around for an hour and then they bring him back. And it's like, Larry Harvey was there. I didn't really talk to him, but I saw him for a second. I shook the hand of this lady. She had like, I don't know how many bodyguards. They stood in the below part of the bus and then there's bodyguards up above with her. And she just showed up there, like they flew her in. And then she gets to drive around and look at Burning Man, and then she leaves. It's like, and I think that's a lot. There's a lot of that. Yeah.
Why'd you shake her hand?
Because she's getting on the bus and she like reached her hand out to shake my hand. I don't think I reached mine out to shake her hand. I don't know. Maybe I did.
Thing?
That's what politicians do. Also, probably to see if you were you probably didn't do it right. You know what I mean?
Maybe I don't know.
You had to slip the thumb down a little bit to the left. Yeah, you didn't do it.
I don't know what happened there. Yeah,
you would have got on the bus. Yeah,
that's probably exactly what it was.
Hindsight's 2020, bro.
I don't know.
On the bus.
I don't know, but I had a good interaction. I talked to her for a little bit, and so, but I don't even know if she's Republican or Democrat. I couldn't tell you because we didn't talk about politics. But
what if I told you it didn't matter? I don't know. We could keep talking about Burning Man. It's probably better than this. I got CIA director visits Qatar. That's what's going on in real life. What do you guys think? He's going to try to release some hostages, but still, more importantly, CIA director is visiting Qatar, right? Like, that's kind of interesting. What do you think about that? There's like slaves in Qatar, football, like soccer fields that are amazing, underground stadiums that are domed.
This is where the last World Cup was, no?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when I think of Qatar, I think of the World Cup now. Not just slavery. They did a good job.
I
with
mean,
that
job
rebranding.
done, right? That's why they put it there. So.
But yeah, no thoughts? No thoughts on the CIA director visiting Qatar?
You're asking me if I have thoughts on that? Oh my god. Well, I mean,
hope he
it's
has
so
a blast.
Yeah.
It's loaded. Oh, is that a code for something? You hope he has a blast? What does that mean?
Oh my god.
What are you trying to say?
Something political related I did see was that the Argentinian like libertarian was meeting with Bill Clinton, and a bunch of people were losing their minds over this.
Really? Why was he meeting with Bill Clinton?
I don't know. There's there he is. There's
god. Well, we said before, like he goes to the Madonna Kabbalah Center apparently. So
of course he does. Of course he does, and that's how he's manifested presidency for himself. He's a
What happens when we find out that this is actually Michael Myers and he's just doing promo for like a new movie?
I mean, yeah, it does feel like. But you've seen the show, right? What's that called? The Pentaveret.
Oh yeah,
of course.
He does look like Mike Myers in the Pentaveret playing.
Oh, I just assumed you meant the bad guy in the Halloween franchise.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh no.
No, but I do think that there's something to this. Malay is interesting. We're supposed to have an Argentinian who's probably in the chat right now talking about that. Actually, I guess I could throw. If you're hearing this and you have the link still, you could jump in and tell us about Argentina, and I wouldn't be against it. But I'm not too worried about it. The thing about Argentina is it's just going to continue to get more and more the same. I don't think it's going to actually change anything because they're opening it up to corporations coming into it. That's what it sounds like he's doing. He's saying if we're going to get rid of the state, we're going to allow for corporations. And unless he's really like fueling with state money, corporate like Argentinian startups, which it sounds like he's afuera to the startup programs. So I don't think he's really trying to build. I don't know what's going to happen, but like, yeah, the government's going to stop spending money on itself, I guess. But I don't know. That might not be the greatest thing. Like if they shut down.
Andreas, were you following this before he got elected? Do you know who he was running against? Because I don't. I have no idea.
I forget. Hold on. Who was he running against? I should have been. Whatever. Malay ran against. Come on, Bing. Tell me. His opponent, Sergio Massa. There you go. Who was the conservative. Here we go.
So he was a conservative, and this guy's a libertarian.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how the government works exactly, because I know, yeah. Sometimes you can in Europe there's places where you have up to freaking 200 political parties, and of those 10 are the main ones. So I don't even know, what does Argentina have like that?
It's like you've got moderate center, just like America at this point. We got like center left. So this is kind of like the Democrat incumbent, and he was.
But how many main parties do they have that are actually have a chance at getting elected?
Political parties, lists of parties in Argentina. Obviously, like electoral alliances. Center left has 118, and Juntos por el Cambio, Together for Change, has 116. Those are the big two parties right there.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
It's not always that way. I was curious. Like, that Palestinian election that took place in 2006, which was their last election, that brought in Hamas by 3 points. That's pretty crazy. And then you're like, so I don't know. There's always this issue when you're talking about like dictatorships, because that's the reason why we're supposed to really be rooting for Ukraine, right? Is because they're up against a dictatorship that's really massive and real scary or whatever. But then it's like, what happens? Like apparently Zelensky doesn't want to have an election because they're in crisis, perpetual crisis, very much like 1984. If you're always in a crisis, you can't. Oh, I guess we're stuck with Big Brother now, because if we stop for a second, it's too risky. But I think it's really interesting, like that, you have these scenarios where people aren't really given a choice, and yet we're treating it that they've chose this for themselves, and look at all it justifies. I don't know. It seems like there's a dictate. Like, how long has Netanyahu as with such a low approval rating remained. And apparently Hamas was elected by 3 points in 2006, and that was it. That was their last election. Is there where's the democracy? Like, I don't know. I guess my thing is like, if you're treating the situation in Palestine, like in Israel, like that this is a like Avatar situation. Like, it seems like the college students want to relate to it as if this is really the tribal people versus the big colonial monster occupier. Like,
Well,
why are they both run by dictatorships?
You're like all over the microphone back and forth, which is pretty rad. I love it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I just like the sound of it. I wanted to, like, it's pretty good. But with these two parties, you've got like the Democrats, the Republicans, essentially. But with Milei, you've got the Libertarian Party, which is not one of those, right? So in other words, he doesn't have almost any of the seats. Is that right? I think that's the deal here. So it's still going to be one of those things where, like, he can collapse government, because otherwise he can't control it, because otherwise these people can make decisions about the government right now. And so he's collapsing all of the democratic processes so that he can have a strong government again, which is ironic because he's saying he's a libertarian, but I don't know if he really is.
Is he a libertarian in like the El Topo sense? Is he like the Wild West libertarian, or is he the new breed of libertarian that doesn't want everyone to have 6 shooters?
Yeah, like, I feel like he might be talking more about Chile in the 80s, which is just letting big American businesses into Argentina for the first time. And not just American businesses, but like these like tri-conglomerates, Like, when you go to Argentina, what you don't see, and you haven't seen forever, is what you will see when you're in Chile that they have that Argentinians don't, is malls with Gucci, Prada, the crap, all the crap, like whatever, Nike, Adidas, anything, even that. Like, and so people will go to from Argentina to Chile to get that stuff. Or if they're smart, they'll go to Paraguay and get knockoffs of it and sell it. But it's like, yeah, it's just a weird situation because those are kind of your option. Brazil's figured out how to make their own things a lot more, actually. And so Brazil's kind of out of that trouble in a sense. They still have malls, they still have all the access to stuff, but I think a lot of the time those are now companies that are owned, like Burger King is owned out of Brazil now. So Brazil has become its own powerhouse in of itself. Paraguay is making its own stuff and living in a black market utopia, while Argentina's buying stuff black market from Chile, which is, they're saying, well, we need to have just this in our own country, but it's not going to help them, because these companies are going to demand lower taxes, and they're not. I mean, how are you going to, if you don't have government oversight, have corporate social responsibility to make these companies treat Argentinians better? Like the whole thing is kind of ironic because I'm supposed to say, yeah, libertarianism, but it might be it might not help.
I don't think it's libertarianism in the classic sense at all. That's not what it's looking like. Any of this doesn't look like it. Looks like unbridled capitalism.
Yeah,
and I'm not seeing the. It's like they've taken parts of the libertarian thing and they've applied it in certain places. It's like, how when people talk about like socialism, and you're like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, our military in America is as socialist as is socialism. How is my federal taxes going towards war not fucking socialism? It's just applied in a particular way. And it's not what happened, like, excuse me, but like with the Nazis, like they had a whole socialist movement that was a big boon for Germany, who was really humiliated following World War I. Maybe I'm oversimplifying, but it seems like the socialism was doing them really well. And then they got way focused on like eugenics and war, and like all the money going towards war. Like, is that what happened? Like,
well, there was also the Weimar Republic didn't have a great rap either, and that was pre-eugenics. Because the eugenics movement started in very much a combination between America and Europe, but it was like, it really got its roots in America, and then it shipped over to Germany, and they just like industrialized it in a way that made the rest of the world go, whoa, okay, we'll have to approach this differently.
But I feel like that's not fair, because if people knew what was going on in California, they would have said that way earlier, right? Because California had the gnarliest, all of it, again, is Germany's just trying to keep up with California, is what they said in the Nuremberg trial.
Yeah, we set the stage for all of that. Like we
pretty
much showed them how to do it. And this ironically came from the dementia research with the big bad thrill oxide word that I won't say, but this is where this came from, is because rich people that had all the resources at their disposal realized there were these certain sicknesses. If you saw your 20-year-old progeny all of a sudden acting really weird nonstop, you were like, what can I do to fix this? And once they gave up after about 100 years, they were like, all right, maybe we can't fix it, but we can sure as hell weed it out of our sort of lineage. So it started as like a preservation for your own your own family, for your own bloodline, and then people started applying this to like, well, what if we did this to like our community? What if we did this to our country? And then then you see someone actually apply that in a practical sense on the world stage, and it's a little bit messy.
What was it that Epstein wanted to do with his DNA? Well, how did he want to do the thing?
He wanted to have
proliferate it.
Right, but more than this usual sense, because most people want to proliferate that just biologically, but like he actually was taking some kind of steps in some real way having to do with that.
So a lot of people were being invested in transhumanist. There you go, Paraguay transhumanism. That's like for Keenan, who says his drinking game is anytime I mention transhumanism or Paraguay. See, now you get to drink a whole bottle. But yeah, there was a lot of people getting their research money from Epstein, and that was a big issue. A bunch of people had to step down for a while. Some people revolved door back in because after a while people kind of forgot and whatever. But some people were still upset, and they're like, "Oh, the digital media lab at MIT is just like filled with rats." And it's like, okay, true, but you guys, nothing's changed. You know what I mean? And now you're putting in like worse rats, arguably. But yeah, he was like, okay, I mean, think about it from the mad mind of a genius. He's trying to get money from other people, put it into the most interesting technologies to further humanism or transhumanism, and then also to put his own DNA into like models DNA and save it for like say it's the smartest DNA because he's a narcissist, an egomaniac, and
narcissist. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. See, that's the thing. Like, some narcissists are just like, yeah, I guess I'm not so bad. Then there's just like young Epstein will tell you, like, this is what young Epstein looked like. Dude, I don't know if that's like
young Einstein.
This is maybe. This is like young. I wasn't breastfed as a kid. I feel like when you become that kind of narcissist, it's like I'm proven to my mother.
He looks like Elliot Gould there.
Yeah. It's a different kind of thing when you're like, when you feel hated or something so much that you feel awkward and hated so much. I don't know. I've seen that a lot of other places. I've seen a lot of school shooters with that face. You know what I mean?
Well, you've seen that video when he's being questioned about the prostitution stuff, and he's like pretty much unfazed by the guy who's got him under the hot lights, so to speak. And then all of a sudden, when he brings up his dick, he's like, "You got a weird shaped dick," and he's like, he's seen his dick apparently. He's saying you got the way that it bends, and you got this weird like egg shaped thing going on. And man, Epstein gets up, paces around the room. He is just fuming. And it's like, dude, he just accused you of like the most atrocious shit, and now he's like brought up your dick, and now you're pissed. It's like that's why like when you say like the narcissist thing,
brittle
like,
ego,
brittle ego, brittle
ego. I think so. Like sometimes narcissism can be symptomatic, and it's probably like a deeper issue here of like a broken ego and like a lack of self-esteem, of course. But like then of course you got this idea that I can't do it, so if I can better it or something like that, I'll put this DNA into like make it future proof, add better things to it, and then eventually it'll be all right or something. I don't know. That seems like this is a great picture, Thomas. I love what you're doing here.
Yeah, that's good work.
There's more under it. I think they're all appropriate. These ones.
This one reminds me of like from Pete and Pete, the ice cream guy. Oh yeah, that's.
I like how you say they're all appropriate, and I've seen the Instagram accounts before they were scrubbed from the internet with Pizzagate shit or whatever you want to call whatever that was. But like you're like, it was appropriate, like that we can share here. It's so funny that we have to be in that position.
There's a thing we can do. Elon Musk did a horrible thing this week, and we're really upset. You know what he did? He boosted that just insane, terrible, like crazy, bad people believe in Pizzagate conspiracy on accident.
Really?
What a shameful thing to do.
What did he do?
Well,
What was
Elon
the
Musk
meme?
posted and later deleted a meme on X that referred to the debunked Pizzagate conspiracy theory. Again and again, we have tried to tell you people there's just nothing to that basement. Go back to sleep. Anyway, drawing connections between Democrats and child abuse, which is just crazy. Crazy thing. Why would you ever, this is apophenia right here. It's just connecting things that.
I don't think that Pizzagate was necessarily connected to completely to one side of the political aisle. I think
It
the
kinda
reason we might
was
think that,
through-
I think
Wow.
it was
Well, through
it was
James
lar-
Alefantis and the Podestas and the Clintons and
Yeah, but all the
Well,
people all the people that inspired that were into this was like had people who'd seen what's it called, of Silence. That's a documentary with like the Frank
the Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom.
Oh no,
So
you're talking about the
No,
conspiracy
no.
of silence. The conspiracy of silence.
thank you. What are you
Yeah,
doing? Conspiracy
totally
of Silence.
different.
But Conspiracy of Silence was like about Republicans. So we grew up. Ooh, this video might make you feel bad. So don't watch that. Never mind.
Well,
Prostitution
you're talking
ring
about,
allegations.
Lawrence King, who basically sang at the Republican National Convention and then hosted the after party with Maureen Reagan.
Yeah, he was.
afterwards.
Lawrence King was. Yeah, that's exactly right. Look at this guy.
But there was also I think Barney Frank got pulled into some of this too, some of the accusations. So it was definitely like across the aisle. They were passing kids across the aisle essentially.
Yeah,
God,
that's
of course.
that's all I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
And you can have that list of convicted sex offenders and their various types of offenses, and you can find Republican and Democrat. They're both really long lists with some really fucked up shit on there. But yeah, you're right. For all intents and purposes, Pizzagate was largely focused on the Democratic Party. Part of that is like Julian Assange, like he releases a lot of whistleblowing stuff, but he himself is rather partisan, at least more so than say an Edward Snowden or something. Like Edward Snowden, it's all what it is. This is what people are doing. This is what I was able to share, but I don't see as much of an agenda from him. I think it's really interesting, though, if people want to argue about anything to do with partisan politics as it relates to like people who want to say hashtag free Assange or something like that. It's like, dude, Julian Assange fucking dropped the bombshell that was no question. You can't even debate it. That freaking Donald Trump was pushed by by Hillary and her campaign, and what they called, in their own words, a Pied Piper candidate that they figured would be easy to defeat. And so it backfired on them. That's all well documented, and we have Julian Assange to thank for a lot of that. That technically speaking, if you look at those emails and their authenticity is verified, which they are, you can see the agenda there. And
So here's the actual meme he posted, which is based. Sorry, I mean it's based in lies, and you shouldn't believe it. Sorry, Elon Musk said, does seem at least a little suspicious, and then shows Pizzagate being said to be real by some crazy person, right? And then this person who's clearly a stoic and very sober-minded says, no, it isn't. We have experts. And then the madman says, he accuses them of trafficking children. But then, of course, like the stoic, sound mind and sound body says, but we have experts. And then the crazy person says, your expert just went to jail for child porn. To which the stoic...
ordered extra cheese pizza.
To which the stoic finally comes to self-realization. I don't know, look at her face. All of a sudden it is kind of like, this is her in like safe, like stasis and flow. But you saw this, right? Like the expert who went to, the Pizzagate arrest. This just happened this week or last week. We brought it up for a second there. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, no, there's so many new papers about it now. Arrested. Investigator. Journalist who debunked Pizzagate is not charged with child pornography. It was somebody else. Okay, let's hear this out. Has a journalist who debunked Pizzagate been charged with child pornography? No, that's not true. It's not the same person. While former ABC investigative reporter James Gordon Meek was sentenced September 23rd for possession of child sexual abuse material, he is not one of the journalists who refuted the Pizzagate hypothesis. Okay, so who is this? James? No, that's not the same one. James. Come on. Obviously, people are just mixing things up And you can't just believe what you read on the internet. No. Who stopped streaming ABC News documentary after producer sentencing in child pornography case? I don't know. It seems pretty good to me.
Oh man, dude, this guy. So James Gordon Meek. It says here he was the last person to interview William Colby. So I'm just gonna leave that out there. This isn't just like a random person.
But William Colby's doing okay,
really?
Right?
Yeah, I'm looking at James Gordon.
Dude, I was just thinking of him like a few hours ago because of the heart attack gun. It's just I'm sure this is just a total coincidence, whatever. Seriously, but I shared several years back. What was it? Whatever year it was that Bernie had his heart attack. Bernie Sanders had a heart attack, and it was like I think a month before then. I shared on Facebook the video of the heart attack gun, which I had to track down. It was this whole crazy thing, because I'd seen it before and I thought it was fake. And then I was like, no, you can actually get the full hearing with Kobe and the CIA disclosing all this kind of stuff they did, including MK Ultra type stuff. And anyway, it's there's a gun. It's a real thing.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. The article that you just had up that said that no, this is not the same person that debunked Pizzagate, right? I'm on James Gordon Meek's Wikipedia page right now, and it says that in 2017, Meek wrote an article about Russian disinformation wherein he referred to the debunked Pizzagate conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems exactly counter to the thing that was just saying, like, pay no attention.
Doesn't it, Thomas? And that's exactly why we know not to believe anything.
That's right. Based in disinformation.
Right. But I think that the argument was that they were saying that he was one particular person who spoke out about Pizzagate that was an investigator for Pizzagate. And this is him just saying Pizzagate's bogus.
I mean, I don't know.
Of course somebody who's
nuance
is going to say Pizzagate's bogus.
If you're a reporter and you've talked to, William Colby before, and you're saying the debunked theory, the debunked P theory, like, isn't that you making the case that it is debunked?
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
Okay. It's a different Patrick Bateman.
Snopes, you've lied again.
Oh, and actually, you know what? If we take that into account, when we look at that meme that was shared, there's no lie detected. So there you go.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
The meme is 100%
right, and that
fiction and horrible.
Right,
things.
That episode of The Office was first scratched before he got punished for sharing the meme. He probably has access to all of those scrapped shows from The Office that we don't get to watch anymore because they were too controversial.
Have either of you guys read this book before, by any chance?
Of course.
American Psycho. Why do you think they left the SeaWorld scene out of this? Do you think SeaWorld paid them off? Because it was the best scene in the entire book, in my opinion. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I forget.
So, I'll recount it.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, if anyone was going to read American Psycho, close your ears. But there's this scene, and believe it or not, I read this book in jail. This is one of the few books that they had in the jail library. I don't ask me why. But he goes to SeaWorld, and he goes to, like, this kid, and I guess he, like, stabs the kid or something with, like, a scalpel or, like, a knife, and the kid starts dying, but no one realizes that he's been stabbed. So he basically is like, don't worry, I'm a doctor. And he describes, as he's talking about this, like, just holding this kid in his arms and just watching him bleed out and die. And, like, while everyone's expecting him to be the savior and that, like, power that it gave him to, like, know that he's the one that did it, and now everyone's expecting him to save it, and that he can slowly just, like, watch it wither away. It was such, like, a poetic moment in the book. And I mean, they do, like, the hamster thing and the, like, don't just stare at it, eat it lines, in the movie, but they left out that, like, really dark part.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to admit something about American Psycho is that when I first watched that movie, I don't know if I was stoned or tired or what the deal is, but I totally walked away from that movie, the first viewing, thinking that it was all in his head at the end. Because it's the I got to return some videos bit. I thought it was just like in some, altered state or something, which is funny because that is kind of what happened with The Machinist. With the same, or is that what it's called? The Machinist? The same actor?
Yeah, where he starves himself, basically.
Yeah, totally. But
You're
it's
right. No,
crazy.
and I think in the movie there was 2 alternate endings. So there was like a theatrical, and then there was like one in the DVD. And one of those variations is that like they basically, I got the impression they were like gaslighting him, maybe. But yeah, someone's like, "What are you talking about? Like no one's dead, nothing happened," and he's like hiding under his desk. But there is another alternate version where that's made way more subtle. They don't explicitly say like, "No, you're going crazy. None of that happened."
I don't know. I never read that. I never read the idea that he was going crazy. I always read it was like, no matter what I do, I'll always get away with it. My daddy won't let me get in trouble. You know, and he's like, because he's been to the apartment, and Patrick Bateman's seen. He's gone back to the apartment, and he's like, she says, "Are you here about the ad in the paper?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "There was no ad in the paper." Now knowing who this is, because she's there to clean this freaking mess up. So she's like, "Oh, you must be the guy who did this." I almost never actually have to run into, the problem. I almost always come after the problem and clean it. Like, I think it's time for you to leave. I think you should leave now. Right. And I think it's pretty clear, like, that the lawyer even says, "I don't think this is funny because I'm getting paid a lot of money to, like, go to court and swear on a Bible that I was in New York or in London on Friday, for 2 weeks. Right. I saw him last. I'm doing this for you. Shut up." And he just can't, stop. He can't stop trying, but he's always going to get saved.
He's kind of, I mean, it's extreme. I'm not saying this is Hunter Biden, but there's a little bit of an element of Hunter Biden where it's almost like reaching out. It's like, please, like, somebody fucking do something about me. I'm out of control here. Somebody stop me. Huh.
I need to throw a knife in this guy's hand. Holding a knife.
You're gonna lose your credits on Bing. Like, sorry, we're taking all those credits now.
Oh, they're useful. Oh yeah, they don't like that. Holding a sword.
Oh yeah, sword's better than knife.
Yeah.
You could also do like a shard of mirror.
An axe. That's sweet. That's true. I could. An axe will probably be fine. We'll see how this goes.
We could do a song about it. I actually have gotten dinged on the song before. Like, there was a few things it was like, I'm not gonna do that.
Really? It was like too close? The song? They were like, your song was like another song?
Yeah, and the easiest one is I think I put like the word Drake in, and it was like, nah.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to like take someone's name when you do it. You just have to like, that's the thing.
I wanted Drake's name.
No, you want to invent genres, bro. That's what, okay, I see what you're saying. You want to do a Drake song. A Drake song. Well,
I want a genre.
There's apps for that. There's apps where you can absolutely. Yeah, that's true. This killer whale would have been like the perfect scene, just to say, like, he's the killer whale.
I watched Siskel and Ebert not that long ago doing a review of Jaws 3, which was Jaws 3D, just like Friday the 13th 3 was in 3D as well. There was this thing that happened in the 80s where they like to the third movie in a franchise, they like to come out with it in 3D or whatever.
Yeah.
You go on there with the 3D.
Do you ever watch Jaws 3D in 3D? Because that's the only way. That's the only way to do it.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah. Dude, I totally don't. Yeah.
Actually, there's a better way. There's a new better way. It's like a limited... like
Stereoscope?
Basically. So what you do is the PSVR 2, and I hope that this technology evolves. I'm sorry, the PS1, PSVR 1. It says you can't do it yet with anything else that I know of. But with the motion tracking thing, you can watch a 3D movie in the headset, and it's the most 3D experience you'll ever have. It's like ultimately better than anything you could put on a wall or on a TV. But it's only available for the PSVR 1, not for PSVR 2.
Why not the 2?
Because the PSVR 2 doesn't use the same tracking technology, which uses like a camera that sees where you are in the room or something like that. Right. Yeah.
Is there like, we could get just like stereoscope glasses, right? Like that's something that you can totally get.
Probably.
When it comes to like, I'm like looking at an editing program, like what's to stop me from just doubling a screen? Like I've tried to do it before, but I don't have
there are 3D glasses. There are 3D apps for that, and also my projector. I've got a 3. If you want to do, we could project with 3D. And there's 3 different kinds. There's like the red, blue. There's like the cheap one that they use in the movies, and then there's a $70 or $20, $30, $70 electric pair of glasses that actually like flicker, that use battery, and that's the one that you really want. But the thing is, using Oculus, like now, what I'm hoping is they make it so that we can start putting these into Oculus events, because there's 20 million of those out there now.
Like, did you buy Tool's album 10,000 Days on CD when that came out? Do you know what I'm talking about? It came with a stereoscope.
I didn't do it, but I know people who did. Yeah.
I have it in the other room. I was looking at it the other day. It's incredible. Like, it's like what
and their pyramid thing.
It's so simple, but it's just those two images. They got the measurement right. You got the glasses. What's to stop me from doing that with my television set? I don't know. It seems like the way to go, right? Isn't that how you watch 3D now? It's a double screen effect. And
yeah,
so,
but if there's something about like interlacing or the way it works, like is a reason why it doesn't look right. But there's two better technologies which competed with each other for years. But the thing is, the best one is something that is like a liquid crystal in the lens that flickers with the actual flickering of the screen. So then it's so fast, it looks better. But we got a bunch of super chats. Keenan sent 10 more, which was pretty based. But then he sent 10 more. So there's like 20 new members on top of the 5 plus 6. 10. So you're all becoming members, which is good. Get them while you can. Grab those. That's pretty sweet. Now you can, because our our Thanksgiving special is members only. They did not like us talking about King James magic ceremony, apparently. So
Really?
Good to know. Yeah, I was surprised with all the things. It's probably because related to people today that would have the ring or something. You'll have to find out more by watching the members only. Travis McLung says Boys Town, USA Republican scandal, 1984, and that's the way the Democrats pinned
Franklin.
it. Yeah, the Republic.
What is the thing with the Boys Town? Is that a Mickey Rooney reference, or is it the actual Boys Town? What's happening?
It's an actual Boys Town that this is directly linked to that Franklin scandal. So they would send all of these
I remember this.
orphans off to
God.
this that was basically the hub that they could just pluck them out of.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it Newt Gingrich talking about Boys Town in the late 90s or early because he's like, he didn't think about it, and then all of a sudden everyone got all upset because in Boys Town there's like a blackface scene with the shoe polish or whatever with Mickey Rooney. But this is the story. He's not heavy, he's my brother. Like the song, He's Not Heavy, He's My Brother, it was a hit in the 70s or whatever, that's based off the story behind Jonestown where the guy carried his brother through the snow and got frostbite and all fucked up.
Right.
And they were like, oh, wasn't he heavy? And he's like, he's not heavy, he's my brother. Like super deep emotional core to the thing or whatever. But then it was like, like in the movie, at one part, I think he was kind of referencing Newt Gingrich, for why I care, I don't know, but talking about how you'd settle something in the ring. So like if boys had a dispute, they'd be like, all right, we'll put on these boxing gloves and work it out.
I love how you telling me this like this is like history, but I just got invited yesterday, April 4th or 6th, to Utah to watch two philosopher YouTubers like Athenian wrestle. So, I mean, it's not something that's historical. Totally. It's happening right now. New member, Joshua McAllister. Joshua, you should be on our show. We should get you on the show soon. I love you, Joshua. Hit me up. I'll hit you up on the Facebook because we're friends. He lives near volcano eruptions in Chico, or at least he did, and knows a lot about Victor Schauberger and Ormus. But yeah, no, like the wrestling thing is real. Like people, I mean, I think Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk will really do it. I think they probably
we have to convince Zuckerberg's mom to go along with it because she said that she was worried about him or whatever.
Oh gosh.
So apparently she's one of the main things keeping it from happening.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But no, that's fair. Probably keeping your mom happy. I don't know, like the wrestling thing though, like maybe that should be brought back. What do you think about that? Like these are smart guys. They're talking philosophy and they're going to literally wrestle like in ancient Greece.
Did we talk about this where the guy stood up in the proceeding, and what was that? Was that Congress? Where did this? No, just it was a senator. A senator stood up and it was ready to bro down in the middle of the. Do you know about? Did you see this? You guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's like an incident that just happened with a senator taking it. He's next to Bernie. Bernie's trying to play referee. He's just like, this is not acceptable or whatever. You are a senator, sir. But yeah, he was like, you said this about me on the internet, and I'm really pissed about it. Yeah, this is it.
This is it right here.
Let's talk about Mr. O'Brien.
Oh, he looks pumped right now. Yeah, that guy looks swole. I get it. I get it.
So he gets up. He's ready to throw down, and I watched this, and I was just like, dude, what the fuck? They handled this so wrong. I was like, he was like, I'm gonna fight you here and now, like on the Senate floor. It was like, dude,
was he taking rings off?
So we can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up. Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your
All right.
solution, every
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down. Look at you. You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit
And so this is the thing.
America's getting so much better.
Right. I don't know if that's a good sign.
Dude,
but
the American Gladiators thing just starts like rising out of the center.
Oh, that's such a good sign. People like that are getting
Come out
elected
with
into office. Oh.
he's at fight or flight, but it's fucked up because if he was cool,
He's
as
not
hell,
at flight.
He could have been. He's not cool. No,
Not at flight.
Okay,
He's at fight.
Okay. He's a fight risk. But the thing is that he could have challenged him right there. He's like, we're going to have a time.
Oh, they did it legally.
Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, he could be like, we will sell tickets for the senator freaking
For
down
veterans. For freaking
A duel. For a duel.
veterans.
A duel for
Totally.
vets. For vets.
Exactly. I was
Duel
like,
for
what a
vets.
missed opportunity.
Duel
man.
for
Versus what
vets.
they did with
Duel
fucking
for
Mr.
vets.
Fight. That would have been in the background with that.
Yeah.
No, but that's
But the
good.
thing was, like, what does he think?
Isn't
He
it?
thinks he's going to be able to fight him on the Senate floor? What is it? What kind of idiot like that? See, that's where it's pussy. Like,
You should
and I
though.
don't-
They should be allowed to. See, the thing is, if you're in Texas or someplace with some civility, they're gonna say, "All right, well, we can't come to an amicable agreement. Let's have a duel. Would you rather duel now, or would you pick your time? These are the rules. This is how duels work. And you've agreed, and you've agreed, and you've agreed to a point where you're in a mutual contract. Like, okay, now we'll do it at sundown instead of here and now. But if you do it here and now." There's a big round circle on that floor. I'm just saying, there's no reason they couldn't have done it there.
What if you
There's
have
a
a disagreement with
reason they
Stephen
wouldn't allow it.
Hawking though? Like, what are you gonna duel Stephen Hawking?
I would so duel Stephen Hawking. I don't care. But he wouldn't die. Like, they just replace him with another one again, you know? So,
But this is, how does it work for him? It just makes him look stupid. Because this is the thing. It's like, you're upset about what I said on the internet. Why not just, like, I don't know, like, it seems like he kind of like kind of makes himself off as feeling kind of guilty, you know, like he looks to be more guilty because he's having that agitated of a reaction, that he's going to do something, that he's going to stand up as though he could do something he knows would never freaking happen. They would never allow him to fight in the middle of the room.
well, maybe not never. Don't never say never, but yeah, it isn't something that's contemporaneously acceptable yet. I get that,
Right.
but I could see it happening. I mean, like, that's the thing. And what the irony is, I don't see how that works, because it just seems like kind of like sexual energy or Shakti. Like, they fight, and if someone wins the fight, does that mean that they won the intellectual argument? Do people start thinking that? Like, where do we go from
also
there?
This idea that's like, dude, if you get into a fight, I don't know how many fights you've been in, but usually, or seen, but the majority of fights end with both people looking pretty bad and one person just looking worse enough that they lost the fight. Like, it's very rare that it's one hit becomes two hits because it's me hitting you and you hitting the floor. That's not usually how it goes, you know. Maybe if you're Steven Seagal or something, I guess.
Or you're using, like, you know, because again, a lot of these duels, they're using weapons, right? It's like a shot duel, so, or swords and everything. So it ends. It seems like a duel can be a poor thing. Getting back to like the physical Athenian wrestling thing. Again, the homoeroticism might be a factor. That might be like a pride thing. It might end up being something that's socially more acceptable to wrestle someone than to have intellectual conversations and arguments with them. But I don't know. I'm not so sure that's a bad thing. It just seems to me like maybe
it's
that's
not.
just part of
It's not a
progress.
bad thing if it's organized. Like, that's why I was saying about Jonestown. Like, that was actually a really good thing that they had. You know, that was an outlet. These are two grown men in this case, like in the Senate. Like, if he wants to fucking talk a bunch of shit about him online, come on. It's actually kind of sophisticated for them to go fisticuffs, you know, if they do it in the right way. You know?
I mean, have you ever heard of aggression therapy? I don't think that's super sophisticated. That's like the Elon
Aggression
school. You ever
therapy is
heard of
good.
Elon school?
Eon does primal screaming. You know, some people just scream at the moon. Like,
Oh,
that's the thing
what,
they do.
that's what Est did, and that's how we ended up with John Denver. So, you know,
Right.
he couldn't have
Why
sung
were-
like
why
Isaac
are-
and Compliment.
Why are samurai so respectful? Why do people watch anime and they're like, gee, the Japanese are honorable people? What's the deal with that? And because it's not everybody, you know, what's the deal? It has to do with period, like cowboys. They have a period of time where if you were disrespectful at all, someone could kill you, right? Like, that basically became the norm of the culture. And so being as respectful as possible kept you alive. And then that became kind of a genetic disposition of being respectful and being honorable of other people. Maybe we, you know, are missing that to a certain extent, because you can't just say, I mean, because if you were to say, all right, well, what you said is offensive. I would like to duel you over it. Unless you'd like to come to some amicable agreement. And then they say, no, like, I'd rather not duel you. Yes, we can come to an amicable agreement. That makes sense. But it is kind of it seems, I don't know. I can see this as being totally reasonable. I see this coming.
I mean, road rage in Florida, right? Like if you offend somebody on the road, then they might pull over and shoot at you.
Or throw an alligator in your window.
See, but yeah,
Samurai.
that shouldn't be. No, yeah, well, yes, but that shouldn't be. I think that again, like if another samurai did that to another samurai, they would probably say you followed bad form. You're supposed to challenge me to a duel, right? So I think the idea of mutually agreeing. I mean, it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You got to agree to all of these things,
right? But I mean, now I think the modern version of agreeing is like you pull up next to him, you're like, you want to do this? And the other one's like, let's go, and that's you agreeing.
Right.
That's true.
This duel.
Yeah, it's come that way.
Is this partly just due to boardom in like old times? Like people are just bored because that's what Barry Lyndon makes it seem.
It's
like.
hot in Hotlanta. They call it that for a reason. But I think also it's like if you it's the Uniform Commercial Code. If you accept the benefit of a contract, you're already out on the road. You're already living your life. You're already accepting the benefit. You accept the obligation. And so, if you're out there, they're saying you've already accepted the duel, and that's not a very safe.
Sun and Steel, the book Sun and Steel.
No,
I forget the name of the writer, but he did plays. He did like Japanese plays and stuff. And this guy is like, there it is.
Familiar. I think I have this somewhere.
Yeah. It's an incredible book. But yeah, he did Harry Carey on himself after writing the book.
Right. Okay.
And it's like his whole philosophy and everything of this guy's trip. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Wait, how soon after he wrote the book?
Like not
day?
that long. Not that long afterwards. Yeah.
Are we talking
I don't know the
years,
exact.
Are we talking?
I don't. No.
I think it was right afterwards.
It makes a difference. If it's
I think it was right afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, it was right after in the 60s. That's yeah. Sun and Steel essay, memoir, Yukio autobiographical essay. Book was published in 1968. Yeah, and he committed Harikari in 1968.
There's a movie of his plays too that
1970. Okay.
Who was it? It's a guy from All That Jazz.
So
and
2
Jaws.
years.
All That Jaws.
2 years after. 2 years after that, he committed Harikari.
He got to ride high for a couple of years, and then he did.
Yeah. Okay. But no, I mean, what was it?
They were like, "Do one more book tour," and he was like, "Oh."
No, it's pretty crazy philosophy this guy had.
Sorry, you were trying to say, David.
I don't know. I got lost on it. I'm a little tired.
That's
but
okay.
Yeah, no. I can't remember how that was related to what you were talking about before.
Life and death, respect, honor, lack of respect to Japan in the 60s led him to feel like he needed to return to tradition. He committed seppuku, but only after following like their tradition. And there's a movie that kind of like inspired him to do this, right? Like Kari movie from the 60s.
I'm thinking of Goonies when she's like, "I'm gonna go Hare Krishna on you kids," and they're like, "That's Harry Carey, Mom."
Harikari came out in 1962. Harikari, or seppuku, which is the more respectful term, came out in 1962, and it's a movie about a dude who comes to kill himself. And you can probably watch this on YouTube. I think the whole thing is probably available for free, but I know you can find it online. Basically,
but did he write this? Is this his story?
No, I don't think so. But this movie came out 6 years, I think, before he did his thing. So it became a big thing in Japan because they were looking for their own westerns, and they ended up with easterns. In 1958, you have Zatoichi, and so that turns into like the Japanese samurai. Because before that, Japanese gangster movies are very, very popular, and for them to start to be inspired by this return to aesthetic. I think it's very much tied into like why they're like, wow, like Paris syndrome. I no longer live in Japan, and I wanted
so
to
if we have. So what you're saying is, if you got spaghetti westerns over here, you have like noodle samurai movies over there.
Yeah, you have udon.
Udon. Thank you.
Yeah.
But no, there's a movie about that guy who did Sun and Steel about his plays, and it's actually, I think Philip Glass does the soundtrack. It's really good. Anyway, yeah, whatever. I don't know what it's called. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in list of finished works or something. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got literature.
Dang, you wrote a lot of stuff. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. He's like, I guess I'm done. I get it. That's a lot. Whoa.
Yeah.
He went full curve.
Oh, he was insanely prolific. Yeah, this guy. Yeah.
Wow. Films too. Okay, and then yeah, he did not do Harikari. Just had to check. But Black Lizard, he did do Black Lizard, and that's gonna be something I'm watching this week. Please synchronize Black Lizard. All right. Well, we did the 2 hour thing. Let me get to some Paranoid American stuff because he's blowing up right now. So you're gonna want to get yourself a pack of. Do you even have any left of these? Is there even a few more?
I've literally got like 10 left in the back room.
You better hurry, guys. It's Christmas time. You better hurry. Like, this is it. You get your pack before it's gone, and then
I load these things up too. People don't realize, and then they get it, and they get like a whole bunch of extra crap that I don't even have listed. So
that's why you're running out so fast. You're not capitalizing properly. That's okay. Chosen One, really sweet. Make sure you go to MK Ultra pamphlet. Get yourself a bunch of those. If you haven't figured it out yet, like, that's how you make the world a better place. Is you share information. And then the Chaos Twins is the new at 666% of flexible goal. For 3,500, 23,000, just pumping up. This is going to be a huge comic from Sam Tripoli and from Paranoid American Thomas Gorn. So this just
I am legitimately overwhelmed with this because this is like no joke. This is going to be like 8 straight days of me just packing up orders and shipping them out. So this is a no small undertaking.
This is pretty sweet. So make sure you make it a 9th day by getting yourself some files
there.
there.
I'm going to look forward to it.
And then if I click on Frazzle Drip is financed as well. And so make sure you guys check out the front. This is going to be coming out soon. So if you picked it out,
you can actually get it right here. And whatever's left in this stock, you'll be able to get it through this site.
Oh, right sweet. Now. Yeah, you can get it digital or printed. I would say printed because he does such an amazing job on printing. So friggin' amazing. And then you saw the syncbook.com. Go to podcast, and then click go to videos, and then click on the sync flicks, which will take you into David's work, which he's got some epic syncs up. He just was showing us earlier the Love Witch with Vise Blood, which is pretty cool.
Vise Blood. Should like it. Who said that?
How are you supposed to say it? Waze Blood?
It's Wise.
Wise Blood. Oh, that's
Wise
cool.
with Weyes. Yeah.
All right, I got halfway there. Yeah. I remember one time I was in Germany as a kid, and I heard the TV, and it was like, and now, Stewie Wonder. And I just remember Stewie. All right. But you can also go to thex.com, click on MK Ultrasound, which is like already at the top of the list there. And you'll find his synchromistic work.
666, there it is.
Right? That's what I'm saying, man. That totally happened.
Good work, King.
But I recommend going to highlights because I'm putting a lot of my videos up there. I guess the most recent ones aren't there yet, but this is like, if you want to just go directly to the sync films that appear on X, here's where they are. But they're all on that website too. So actually, there's a few that are on X that aren't, but yeah.
Kenneth Anger. Oh
yeah,
my!
This is crazy. So there was like the Magic Lantern series that he did, which is these particular films, and so I careful, that's copyright. So I basically mirrored Lucifer Rising with itself overlaid with Inauguration of the Pleasure Dome with Marjorie Cameron, and it's followed by Invocation of My Demon Brother with his final short Lantern series film that's actually only 2 minutes long, but yeah, I did there's some like kind of creative license I did with that particular one, but yeah, and it's with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Silence, Thomas. AI doesn't know. That was just
a blue-footed.
Sometime in the future, humanity will be safe again, and it'll be all right, and we won't have this problem anymore. And they'll just look at things like Eastern Europeans looked at commercials for television in the early 90s with mammary glands and all. But yeah, make sure you go to David Plates, like and ruin his day by making 666,667, and then also
667 is the Gematria of the Scarlet Woman in Greek Gematria.
You can't even do anything but brighten his day, So and then check out Paranoid American too. Make sure you like and subscribe, and thank you guys. No, I left early. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next time. Peace. Oh yeah, and listen to all the AI music that Paranoid American and I are making on Xirtus.
We'll keep spamming it everywhere. So.
Yeah, and go on in 99.1 or whatever, the Sam's Radio. I think we're going to be all over that for the next.
Hell yeah.
Virginia's going to love us. Peace.
In the quiet of my room, I close my eyes and I start to pray. I'm searching for a sign, for something to guide my way. Through the chaos and the noise, I'm yearning for clarity, hoping for synchronicity to show me what's meant to be. Oh, Synctank, hear my plea. Bring me a sign of synchronicity. In this podcast that speaks of the divine, set the universe, show me a sign. Oh, Synctank, I'm listening. Guide me to the answers I've been missing in this world of cosmic mystery. Synctank, bring synchronicity. I'm searching for a sign, for something to guide my way.